Hello and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this week's new episode of the Xbox Factor Podcast. I'm your host, Mr. BoomStick XL, and we have an absolutely outstanding show, some really big, powerful topics. And guess what? None of them are concerning Xbox tax or bias. We're gonna try and move on, at least here on the channel, until we saw into, again, it's gonna be around, folks. When I see it, I'm going to call it out, but I'm not going to spend hours upon hours talking about it. I do want to shout out, oh no, it's Alex. Not that he needs my help, because he's closing in on 58,000 subscribers. So shout out to Alex. He put out a really, really good video. Now, again, he does try to debunk the Xbox tax. He does have some really strong points. I watched the video twice. I got to get that dude on. I don't know if the channel's too small for him, but he was on Iron Lords, which is, a pinch bigger than us. So maybe I can get him to join us one day, or maybe even, pop on one-on-one, maybe on Xbox Live. I'm going to reach out to him. But it was a really good video. And look, the truth of the matter is that there is an inherent bias. That's a fact, folks. No one's ever going to move me off that square. But we're here. We're going to talk about games. We have a lot to talk about because, quite frankly, 2023 is loaded with games. And listen, before we start getting into those topics, let's introduce the panel. Now, C Money is here, but he's handling some family stuff, so he'll be back in a hot minute. But let's welcome in Infinite Umbra, my brother, all the way from Chi-Town. What's going on, dude? I don't know. Did your team win or lose last night?
I wasn't even paying attention. I'll be honest with you.
Well, I'm a Steeler fan. I live in New York, so there's that.
Yeah, I was just I've been so focused on I'm actually moving soon, so I'm actually getting things prepared for that.
Oh, that's always a real big pain in the what.
It is. Luckily, I only have like a couple of like heavier things to move.
Okay.
So that I'm fortunate in that case, but outside of that, just doing I had the table read this past week, and
dude, it was phenomenally done work. Wow, really good stuff. Everyone was so good, dude.
They did a really good job. I was actually really, really happy with that.
Get you a job potentially in the next 3-4-3 game. I don't know, Halo something.
No, you speaking the language I like. That's what I want. I would love to get into voice acting for anything. Particularly video games. I mean, that would be a dream right there. I wanted to do that for so long. So we did that, man, and we're talking about possibly doing others in the future. I suggested Mass Effect as one that we could do. So I loved it. Man, if you all have not checked that out, please check out my timeline on Twitter and check out that table read. Absolutely. It was really fun. Halo 2 table read. But other than that, man, not too much has been going on. I'm happy to be here with you guys today.
Yeah, well, happy to have you. And we're closing in on the end of the year. Game Awards next week, which is going to be very interesting. We're going to talk about tomorrow evening on Primetime Gaming, what we expect, because apparently, thanks to Corden and Randall Thor, there actually might be a pretty big presence for Xbox, as they should. There are millions and millions of more eyes on that show each and every year. And even though we've come to the realization that, Keighley isn't going to always do or say the right thing, or, we may or may not agree with him. It is one of the most watched gaming shows of the year. And with that said, if Microsoft is trying to bring in new players, as we know that they are, it is probably in their business best interest, not a fanboy best interest, but a business best interest, to be there with all of the bells and whistles we know that they're going to have. And I'm looking forward to it. I hope there's going to be some big surprises there. We'll continue. But listen, Daniel McGee, what's going on, dude? How you feeling?
Pretty good. It's been a noisy day here, so I don't know
Well, we hear nothing.
What if any of that is gonna show back? Oh, it's quiet right now. But in
Oh,
the
okay.
last like hour or so, we had, I think the guy well, the guy above me is always loud. There's a stairwell directly behind my computer here that I think is getting new carpet, but hopefully they're done and not just on break. The fire alarm went off across the street. It's been loud here, my man. I don't know what's going on.
They knew that you were going to be on the Xbox Factor
They
podcast.
always know.
And you know something? That's the gaming media trying to keep us down.
They come at me. Oh man.
Oh man. Listen, let's well, as we obviously we'll do introductions when C Money gets back here. I want to start off with a small topic. Now, obviously, I mentioned Jez Corden a few moments ago. And I love Jez. Jez is one of the journalists that are a part of the industry that I really do like. You can include Paul Tassi, you can include Tom Henderson, you can I love Tom Warren. I love the work that he does. So those are some journalists that I personally look to, for industry information that I know are going to give it to us straight, even if we don't agree. And listen, Paul Tassi, I love that dude, but I don't always agree with him, and that is okay. That is perfectly okay. But Jez Corden put out a tweet, and you know what? It's simple in its nature, but I think that there is a lot to unpack here, and I kind of really want to get the community involved with this particular question. So he asked, "Are you more or less positive about the future of Xbox compared to a year ago, and why?" So I'm going to go to you first, Umbra, because I think that again, I think a very easy answer if you want to be simplistic and say, "Well, yes, of course, I'm happy." But the big question is, why would we be happy about the future of Xbox? I know that some of it may be ABK, but I think that it's so much deeper, especially when you look at Xbox Game Studios and what they have in development. There's a lot to get excited about, especially when you look across the aisle and you see that PlayStation land is in disarray. There is no future. There is no future roadmap. That we don't know what they're doing. Hell, I don't even know if Sony knows what they're doing. So, what are your takes on this, man?
Well, as far as what it goes to Sony, I know there are some things I've seen some games I've seen a few of our Who brothers share online. So I wouldn't write it off, right? And
Oh no, and you never write off Sony. Let's
absolutely.
be clear about that. They
And
are the market leader for a
yeah.
reason.
And I say that only specifically because I think same with Sony, same with Xbox, we are only as good as our competition forces us to be, right? So I
And
like
they're
for
better
Sony,
because of Sony. Let's call a spade
absolutely.
here.
So I like them to be strong because it forces Microsoft to up their game, which is a win for us. You know what I mean? That means that that's better deals that Microsoft is going to seek to get us to please us, to grab exclusivity for whatever game it may be, to bring it to Game Pass, et cetera, et cetera. So that's a W for us. That's the reason why I'm happy for that. Hold on, somebody said that the Code Veronica remake is confirmed. Waylon Johnson.
Wow, that's nice.
Hey, that's a W. Okay, so I love Code Veronica. So just want to say, so I'm happy if that is the case, that Sony has something. But if you look at Xbox's roadmap, I mean, it's night and day in our opinion, right? I think all of us can agree. They seem to have things so much more ironed out. And if I would have to compare from last year to now, like what's the difference? Like what is the I guess the positive? Why we're more or less positive about the future? I mean, you have to go by for what we had from last year. Now, last year, I think sometimes we look at it, it becomes a little revisionist because we go to, well, it was terrible on Xbox. That's the kind of the sentiment, but it really wasn't. Like first party, it was, right? I think we can all acknowledge it wasn't. It was devoid of AAA. But actually, last year was actually, when you really look at it, it was actually devoid of AAA all around. I mean, you only had a few major standouts, and that's stuff like God of War, Ragnarok, and like what Kirby.
Elden Ring was one.
Kirby, yeah, but I'm talking about specifically first party.
So, okay,
so first party was only like Ragnarok, and for Nintendo it was Kirby,
right?
And I think it was a Pokemon game or something like that. Danny, you would know, you love Pokemon.
The Pokemon sold a lot.
So stuff like that. But I mean, Xbox was the outlier, right? Where we didn't have any major AAA. So we acknowledge that. But if you look at what we had as far as Game Pass, and this is why I said that when Microsoft is short on something now, they're at this point where they have to compensate. So that's why I'm really happy. I mean, already we know the timeline is crazy what's to come, right? 2024 is going to be a crazy good year as long as everybody delivers what they need to deliver as far as the games go, and I think they are. But you look at the Game Pass games we got, the Game Pass titles we got in 2022, it still was pretty solid. That's why I didn't really. I don't think that's. I know some people complain about first party, which I understand, but really it wasn't that bad of a year. I mean, we had games like High on Life.
Yeah,
we had TMNT, Shredder's Revenge.
So freaking good, dude.
We had Tunic. We had Sniper Elite 5, Warhammer 3. We had even the game I have to get back to, Loot River. You had a lot of good stuff that actually dropped last year that I think we kind of overlooked because it wasn't first party in AAA. But when you look at the future, obviously, I mean, I kind of look at some of the games we got coming next year, first party or otherwise, to the service. We have Persona 3 Reload. You have Eiyuden Chronicle. Also, that Eiyuden Chronicle came out last year too, right? Was it the I forgot the name of because this next year is 100 Heroes. I forgot the first one that we got. But so you got 33 Immortals. I know some people are hyped for that one. You got Arc 2. I know a lot of people, including Drawn TJ, who left a very ominous tweet chat.
Yeah, I'm gonna get to that in a second because I have. I know he's hyped for
that. I talked with my brother the other day, and he's hyped for Arc. So he's been playing that. So Arc 2 we got Avowed coming, which I'm very excited.
Clockwork Revolution's a possibility.
Clockwork Revolution, I think, is a possibility as well. We don't have it for certain, but I think it is.
I think it is personally.
That's City Skylines 2. You got what else do we have? We have Dungeons of Hinterberg. We have I know a lot of people didn't care for that one. Let me go to a bigger one. You got Hollow Knight Silk Song. That's one we've all been waiting for. A lot of us, at least.
Powerborn's another one. That's a pretty big one. That game was
excited for that. Stalker 2.
Yes. Holy crap, man.
Replaced. I mean, Hellblade 2, obviously, Senua's Saga. I mean, so you got a lot of Towerborn. Steel Wakes the Deep. You know, we talked about that on the fix and stuff like that. So you got a lot of good stuff coming. Just down the pipeline for 2024 that's going to make it a good year. And that's just for the stuff we know. You know what I mean? And that's the thing that I give Microsoft major credit for that I don't think they get enough credit for. I'm not sure who would run that and say, hey, we got to get these games over to the platform because we're short here, right? They've done it. They stepped up when it comes to that. I don't know if it's a credit to Sarah Bond or whomever, but the team has gotten things together when they've been short on exclusives as far as first party goes. So we already know next year is going to be solid this year has been solid already. Minus, of course, the misstep with
and again, Redfall. Redfall it is a misstep. And you know something? I'm actually happy. Not happy that Redfall failed because I put 80 hours into it. So it's a W for me.
Fail.
But because of that, Phil Spencer, the head of Microsoft Gaming, recognized that there is, in fact, a problem with communication. So with that said, that failure will ultimately mean we will never see that happen again. And
that's the beautiful thing. That's another beautiful thing. And I agree with you. It's like sometimes we have to have these failures or missteps for them to correct and come off better in the future, right? And I think we saw how Phil looked when he had that interview, and it was impromptu because he was already scheduled to appear.
Yep.
But we all know how Phil came out there. We talked about it many times, where he was clearly upset, and he did not expect it to go that way. Now, I don't fault Phil specifically. I fault the people under him because there's no way in the world that should not have been communicated. There's no way that should have gotten Cena, the green light with all the issues or shortcomings at least it had. So I don't know who directly at Bethesda to point that to, but it's on them first, then whomever is under Phil second. But he took that on the chin. Kudos to Phil. But because of that, you're right. Now they're saying we're going to refocus. We're going to make sure that they step up. And Charlie Hustle said Matt Booty, and I kind of think it's Matt Booty too, but we don't quite know. But I know now that they're structured differently. It is going to be directly on Matt Booty if they don't communicate that correctly. So that is the good thing. We have clarity when it comes to the positions of people there. Of course, I'm in Chicago, so you hear the police. Of course,
listen, they're New Rochelle.
I didn't even hear it, brother. Didn't even hear it.
It's I said Matt Booty too loud. They're like, Booty, arrest him. But yeah, so my thing is, I think we have a lot of great stuff coming up because of, like you said, the refocus on good things to come. Of course, we have Call of Duty. I don't know if Call of Duty is going to Game Pass next year, but I know that's a topic we'll be talking about. But I mean, you still do have that as first party, so I will list it as far as things to come. So somebody did mention in the chat, they're correct. That's another thing. So I think also the future is really bright because of all the insane numbers of IP that Xbox now has. I don't think you can sit here and honestly see what the backing of Microsoft and the money they've invested and are going to continuously invest in and not be excited for what we have coming in the future. I just don't think you can. So I
agree.
Yeah, I think when I hear see a lot of people trying to do the doom saying for Xbox, it goes in one ear out the other now because
now
I'm
it's
not worried.
Now it's someone looking to be noticed because there's no truth to it.
Yeah, so I don't have any worry as far as what's to come for us as far as Xbox is concerned. I just hope that they all stick to landing, and that's the biggest thing. You got to make sure the quality control is good. And now that, like you said, after that misstep, I think they're going to make sure that they stick that landing.
Dude.
Absolutely.
I mean, to be fair, before now they have been sticking most of the landings, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like they were 2021, they were
publisher
of the year, right? So like we shouldn't keep putting. I think part of it is still on us because we keep hoping that they're going to do good, and it's like they already show us they do good.
They're already doing good.
That's
2022 was a disaster of the year.
Yeah,
there's no doubt,
right? Like that was
what it is. Right? I think it's a bit of a complex that we on Xbox have developed because I think it is because you're right. They have delivered in a lot of ways. Redfall was just the outlier, really. But it's
seriously, even in 2022, the games that they came out with
were solid. That's right.
We're good.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? So let's not act like
they were very
dropped the ball.
We have a complex. That's what it is because we know what's happened in the past, and we don't want that.
That's on us to change the complex, right? We keep giving them.
It doesn't help with the guys things.
There's hope. Yeah. PlayStation fans are not hoping that the next God of War is going to be good.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, that's true. First of all, let's welcome and see Money. Welcome back, brother. How you feeling?
I'm doing well, man. Sorry I wasn't here right when it started. I had obviously I'm at the office today. Not living the good life at home office today, so I had to handle some stuff. But
well, listen,
man, glad to be here. Excited for topics. We got a lot of good stuff going on, man. I'm excited.
So listen, before I bring Danny in, I want to address a super chat here. John TJ, who's been a great friend of the program and a generous friend at that. He feels that yesterday I blasted him, which I did not. And if you feel that way, I apologize. That's not it wasn't meant to it. You called Destin Legarie a pony with your super chat. Now, I disagree with that. I don't think he's a pony. I think he is trying to explain the situation, which I don't think he should do. It's like trying to see the forest from the trees. You're just not going to do it. So he's not the right guy to tell us that there is no quote unquote bias because he works for a conglomerate that uses console war hate and hate mongering to garner clicks. So he tried to do a video and he got blasted for it. And then he made matters worse by trying to go live and do a 3-hour thing. And he was getting very flustered by the comments from the people. And you know what? Some of the comments were a bit brutal. I watched it. Some I don't agree with. So Drawn TJ says this in a super chat, and I'm going to say this right now, Drawn. I truly appreciate the generosity over the years. I find your commentary very disrespectful. So I'm going to read it, and what I want you to do is I want you to go to your Google and ask for a refund because I do not want this $10. And if you don't do that, I will find a way to return it to you because I don't want your money, especially if this is how you feel. And he says this, folks. Boom in all caps. So he's yelling and he's mad, and that's fine. You blasted me for a super chat yesterday, and that's messed up. You don't deserve the subscribers, your subscribers, especially if you're going to treat them or treat the community like that. First of all, I worked incredibly hard on to get what we have, and we are thankful for every for every super chat. We're happy. We're incredibly thrilled and happy for every like, for every sub. We take nothing for granted. I have worked incredibly hard to get here. This was not given to me. I do not have help from any of the bigs out there. I've done this all on my own. So to suggest and say that I don't deserve the subscribers, in my opinion, is a bit disrespectful. So I'm not going to get triggered over it. You have your opinion. Yesterday, when I said that that I don't agree with you about Destin being a pony, I stand by that. I do not. And I thought that we were we can have a different opinion without flinging poo at one another. I said jokingly that he is, a greedy gamer like myself, and I even mentioned you, Rumber, that we want everything.
I was there for that part. Yeah.
Okay. So I don't think I was disrespectful. If you felt that you were slighted, let me do the man thing like I did with the guy from IGN. I apologize. I'll do it publicly, but I don't want your money. I want you to ask for a refund, take it back, and if you don't, I'm going to return it to you. Now, if you still subbed, awesome. I'm not gonna not interact with you. I'm gonna say this. I'm not even angry, Drawn TJ. I'm actually quite disappointed in the commentary because you basically are saying that somehow I'm unworthy of the subscriber count that I worked incredibly hard to get because you felt you were slighted. So with that said, my best advice: don't support the channel financially. Don't support the channel through your clicks, your likes, or anything. Don't share it. Just send me to Hades. It's fine. And if you're in there and you're in the chat, I'm going to address you and say hello like I do for everyone, but I'm just disappointed. With that said, I want to get off that subject because we're not here and chat, please do not go at Drawn TJ. He felt that he was disrespected. He's mad. We explained it. We're men. It's done. Water under the bridge. Let's go. So I want to move on to Daniel McGee, and I want to ask the same question, Daniel, because Umber's answer was bombastic as expected. But I'm interested to get your hot take on this. Xbox, and again, this folks, if you're just coming into the show, welcome, of course. I want to say that this first topic comes the way of Jez Corden of Windows Central, one half of the absolutely astounding Xbox 2 with Randall Thor each and every week. He asked, are you more or less positive about the future of the Xbox compared to a year ago? And I added, and why? Why would that be? Daniel, what's your answer to this, man?
So I think when you add the modifier of specifically a year ago, I don't know that I am, because I was already pretty positive on them a year ago, right?
Okay, that's
and
fair.
Then especially when we're looking at it like going into this year, we were like, oh well, Starfield is this year, which is a surefire 100% money machine, whereas a lot of the games that they have for 2024 I think will be great and probably honestly more likely to be like award bait in terms of Hellblade, but I don't know that they make the money that Starfield makes, you know what I mean? So specifically from a year ago, I don't think I would say that I'm more confident. I will say I am very confident in general. Like, I'm very confident in the way that Xbox has been handling themselves. They've been doing, in my opinion, pretty much everything right. They've been really shoring up all of the places where they're weak and capitalizing on the places where they're strong. And I think it's just a matter of the slow turn of public opinion, and then they're going to be up on top. I mean, really, if they continue the way that they did this year, and I know everyone wants to talk about Redfall, but whatever, the fact of the matter is they had a really good year this year. If they continue on the path that they had for 2023, I think that my prediction that I made like a year ago is going to be true, that I'm pretty confident by the end of this generation, Xbox will be the most sold console in the Americas. I think it probably already is in South America, because I think they really love Xbox there. But I think North America will probably end up being a stronghold for sort of Xbox sales. And then Europe and Asia, they'll probably still be beaten out almost 2-1, because they just like really don't have a foothold there at all. But it'll probably be a smaller amount of a lead than usual. So I really think they're doing a lot of things right, and it's just a matter of waiting for people to see that. You know what I mean? Especially if I mean, we've been hearing. I know you asked me about Xbox, so I probably shouldn't bring up PlayStation in this, but especially
it's fair to do so, Daniel, because when you're talking about one platform, I think we can talk about the other one without being disrespectful and just using it as a point of context.
Well, it's just like, especially because like this year was extremely weak for PlayStation, and we've been hearing rumblings that next year is going to be just as weak, if not weaker. And I don't know how it could be weaker because they really only put out one game this year. So maybe that just means they'll also only put out one game next year, but it just won't be Spider-Man, because Spider-Man is obviously like a huge selling thing.
Yeah.
And we don't know what they're putting out next year, right? Like we have some rumblings that it might be one of those live service games. But I don't think either, like any of the ones that they've shown us already, I don't think really make a splash. And we don't know any information outside of that. So unless PlayStation has been hiding something, it looks like 2024 is going to be pretty weak for them as well. So yeah, I think this is a really important time for Xbox to capitalize on really regaining some ground here. So yeah, I'm extremely confident in them. I just don't know if I'm more confident than I was a year ago. You know what I mean?
I mean, your answer's very proper. I think that you're onto something, especially when you're coming off of a year that we considered by many was a very poor year for Xbox in 2022. I called it disgraceful. Phil Spencer said that it wasn't good. In fact, Destin Legarie, in that video that he did about the Xbox X, he specifically made mention of it. I don't think it had really any context to what was going on.
2022 was as bad as PlayStation's 2023.
Yes, absolutely, 100%.
There you go.
Look, they had a great 2021. 2020 was, was the launch of the consoles. I thought it was fine. They got Publisher of the Year for 2021 via Metacritic. A lot of the stuff was delayed. Obviously, that was due to COVID, which is actually still a thing. 2022 saw the delay of 3 major releases. Actually, 4 if you consider Stalker. Stalker 2 was supposed to be a big, second party or exclusive, and that got delayed, obviously for real world, problems. Here we are in 2023, they're having a banner year, in my opinion. And again, I want to just take ABK off the table. Like if we're just talking games, they've had Xbox gamers should be cheering from the rafters. I mean, their first party has hit like a sledgehammer. Okay. And then on top of that, your monthly service for $16.99 has delivered some of the best content. Our backlogs, I'm a big dude, I'm 6 feet, and my backlog is twice the size of me and it's crazy. Like I cannot keep up with it. And that's how many great freaking games are in this service. So Xbox gamers, we won this year. And if you want the cherry on top of this banana boat Sunday, you add ABK. And it's like they could not have had a better year. That's just my opinion. But see, Money, let's get your hot take and ask you the same question, kind sir. Jess Corden tweeted this yesterday. Are you more or less positive about the future of Xbox compared to a year ago, and why?
So, I mean, the answer for me, it's very, very easy. Like, yeah, absolutely. I'm more excited because the more time goes on, the more they show us that they're willing to invest more and do more for us. I mean, like last year they bought ABK, and one might have thought, well, that's pretty much going to be the end. I know they said they're going to buy more, but like probably nothing big. And then this year you have Satya come out and say, well, we're doubling down. I mean, doubling down can mean a lot of things, but I think he's pretty aware of when he says doubling down what that means. So I'm looking forward to even bigger and better things to come. So for me, I'm 100% more excited than I was last year. But that being said, I've been excited for Xbox. I'm not like, the fact that they didn't have all those games. Like I'm not a what you would call a fair weather fan, right? Like I'm not sitting here saying in 2022 I was like, oh no, what's happening on Xbox? This is so scary. It's like nah, they had Starfield and Redfall supposed to come out. Obviously, we saw Redfall needed to be delayed. Starfield was delayed. We got this banger of a game this year. It's just the way the cards were dealt that year. They still came out with first party games that I was happy with. Yeah, what could it have been bigger? Yeah, it would have been had they released these games, but they didn't. So like I was never doom and glooming. I never said to myself, "Oh no, they're not gonna make games. What's happening to Xbox?" That's not me, man. Like that, I'm not that guy. So I was not worried in the slightest. I knew what they bought. I knew they were investing. The fact that they bought Bethesda before they even brought ABK told me everything I needed to know with how far they were willing to go for Xbox and the fans, right? And that's what this is about. And they've showed that already, right? So the fact that on top of that, they went and bought ABK, on top of that, you got Satya saying they're doubling down. I mean, I don't even know what the discussion is. Like, of course, we should all be pumped. There's no reason to not be unless you don't like Xbox or their particular brand of games. But if you are looking at what they have coming out that they've already announced that we're waiting for, like your Fables, your Clockwork Revolution, South of Midnight, like if you're looking at these games, you're like, I don't know how that's going to be. Then, I mean, then you're probably not on the wrong side of the fence, my dude. You know what I'm saying? Like, these are the games that we like over here. If you're waiting to see Last of Us, rebranded over here, maybe that's not going to happen. And maybe then you should, kind of think about what you like and what you don't like. But at the end of the day, I don't see where we would have lost the excitement to begin with, because this year was good. Redfall being not great again was not an Xbox thing. You know what I'm saying? It was a trust thing that Arcane broke. And for that reason, now they will no longer have that opportunity, because now they got big boy Matt Booty, who's going to be on their ass, making sure that whatever they put out is going to reach the same level of everything else they have been releasing.
You telling me
the last
Booty going to be on that ass? Is that what you're trying to tell
Booty going to be on that ass? That's right, man. Booty going to be on that ass, and those are facts, dude. Those are facts. But yeah, I think again, I think the fear mongering that goes on is kind of wild, because it's like Xbox is the biggest and the baddest. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a $3 trillion company who's telling you they're all in.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, this is just the reality of what it is. Like, why are you afraid? What is there to be afraid of? There's no reason to be afraid. You got Satya Nadella, the guy in charge of the biggest company in the world, saying we're doubling down on Xbox. And you already saw what they did when they bought Bethesda, when they bought ABK. Like, come on, man. What are we talking about here? They're bringing us what we want. And this is all going into Game Pass. Again, I ask you, where do you see the videos of people wondering what's going on with PlayStation? They don't even have a roadmap, and they're sitting there defending that crap like it's something great, right? So, like, what are we even talking about here? You know what I'm saying? Like, this is a big time for Xbox. They're literally in the best position that they have ever been in the history of being Xbox. They have more stuff coming than we've ever if there was ever a time to be an Xbox fan, this is the time, right? So we're eating good over here. I have no qualms or concerns. I'm just excited to see what else they're going to give us. And don't forget, man, like, it's not just what Xbox delivers. The other question is, what are they going to deliver us into Game Pass? Because they haven't stopped with that. They didn't say, hey, we have enough of our own games, so we're not bringing in day one Game Pass games for you guys from third parties. They're still doing that. They're still giving us those games too. So when Satya has his pockets, open and ready, we don't know what we're going to get. And that's what's exciting over here, right? We know that there's huge opportunity for what we're going to get on this side. And I'm pumped for it, man. We just heard about Certain Affinity. You got Halo being talked about, that they're working on something. Like, they're cooking, man. Like, we forget about all the main studios. We keep focusing on the new studios they got. We still haven't heard from Coalition. Gear 6, what is that going to be? We still got Hellblade 2 coming. I mean, Avowed. I mean, there's so much on our plate. Like I get it that he has this just put out that poll, and that's a good thing to do for non Xbox heads, right? Like, I get that, right? So for like the people who are not diehard Xbox, it's like, hey, are you more or less excited about Xbox? Great poll, right? But I mean, if you're an Xbox dude, like, yeah, Yeah, you are. Yeah, because this is what we've been wanting. Having a squad that it's like finding out your football team drafted every single one of the best players that existed. You know what I'm saying? Like we have the squad now. All of our teams are hitting. Like they're showing us amazing stuff, and I just can't wait to see what's more. One thing I do want to before I hop off, I do want to address something because I think you were talking about Destin and the pony stuff earlier, and the verb, the word that they use. So I think the word pony now, just to kind of put it out there because I've seen it all over. Like pony used to mean like a PlayStation person who was only PlayStation and they wanted to talk crap about Xbox, right? Like that's what they did. That's what they lived. It's not a PlayStation fan, right? It's not if you only play on PlayStation, that doesn't make you a pony, right? Is if you just enjoy the games.
It just means it's a brand that you grew up with and that's what you play on.
Yeah, that's it. And you like it, and that's fine. You like those type of games, right? That's fine, right? But it's the people who spend their days talking crap about Xbox, right? Which is the issue. So what the community has started taking pony in, like the way the community has taken pony, or I would say the more the passionate hardcore community has taken the word pony and they've applied it. It's pony for those people who talk shit about Xbox. It's also pony for the people who, instead of defending Xbox, go out of their way to challenge it or go the opposite. But it's not, you're not a pony. It's more like you have pony tendencies, right? Like you're pony-ish, right? So I do, just because, I hear it a lot. So I want to put it out there because I think it does not mean, when you hear an Xbox dude get called a pony, it's not, they're not obviously saying that you're not an Xbox first person. It's that instead of repping Xbox or defending Xbox, you're more of a blase fan, right? Like it is what it is. I just like,
I believe the term is pony bot, sir.
Yeah, well, exactly, pony bot, right? But they even taking that away, and then most of the time they're just rocking with pony-ish, right? But that's what it is, right? So I know, like, I see a chat that said, "Oh, this is not a pony." No, I mean, obviously he prefers Xbox. That's great, but he has pony tendencies, right? There's a lot of the guys in media that have that, right? So that's why
I'll give some pushback on it. I'm with Boom on this though. I think that Destin, much like anybody else, he's not infallible, right? He's gonna have some takes that we're not going to agree with. He's going to say some stuff that, I think due to the position where he's at, and he probably can't say some things, right? I mean, he even alluded to that during that
That's why I feel the initial video was a bust from the beginning, because he got folks, and I kind of want to just make this a real life conversation. You have to understand that what pays the bills for him and his family is not YouTube. Okay. I'm sure he makes money on YouTube. He has 100,000 subscribers. And when he does a video, a lot of people watch it. Now, I mean, I think he lost a lot of subs, because of the video, but because he needs IGN to pay the bills where he actually works, he's limited to what he says, which is why I feel that he shouldn't have done the video from the beginning, personally.
You know what? I didn't mind that he did that, though. I like that he allowed people to call in and talk with. That to me was the opposite of somebody being in a position of I don't need to speak to you. Destin actually allowed people like our brother John Wolf to call in.
Yeah,
I saw Nib. I saw my brother Nib. He actually got in too. I was a little upset by that. I'm like, don't let that pony on. But Nib got in.
But he was looking. Nib. But the thing is that the ponies were supporting him, right? So this is the thing. It's not having the opinion that matters, right? We all have that, right? The number one, the fact that he made that video. Let's be clear. This is something that is in the community. People are feeling this. Like as much as we want to discredit people and say like, this is like real. Like we want to discredit people, be like, oh, it's just games or nobody cares. Listen, people don't treat this way. This is a hobby. This is something they love. This is what they spend. Dude, you do a show 5 times a week, and these people spend 2 hours of their day every single day to be here to listen to you, right? So they could be doing non-gaming related things, but these people spend their time, they give super chats, they spend their money in this. They're invested, dude. Don't disrespect them by saying that, oh, it's just games or it's not that serious. It's serious to the people it's serious for. You could say that about any sport team out there who has fans. Like, I don't want to, I get so sick of it, and that's why I make sure.
You bring up a great point. No, see money, home run, brother, grand slam, because you absolutely are correct. I think that the way it should be handled is like for instance, there are people in games media that do not feel that this thing exists, and Destin is one of them. But that's because he is too close to the situation to see it.
I think
now I said this yesterday, and yesterday's stream was 2.5 hours, supposed to be a 90-minute show. That's how deep we got into this. I think it's safe to say that there is no cabal where there's a secret handshake to get you in, and you had to have shit on Xbox 25 times in order to be part of the club. But this sounds ridiculous.
24. I'm gonna need to get one more out there.
But there are inherent biases in everything.
Yeah.
And specifically gaming journalism, and I'm saying this is my opinion. Gaming journalism is a very young bunch of up and coming, quote unquote, so-called journalists. They grew up with PlayStation. That is their brand. Now, again, a lot of the stuff that we see is click based because they're trying to make money. It's a business. And they want to get people to click on it. I mean, and like I said, not that he needs my help, but oh no, it's Alex. He did a video today, and he specifically pointed out a lot of the posts that these quote unquote sites made, and some of them, they're in the millions of engagement. That's money for these people. So they know what they're doing.
I think that's the bigger culprit. One, a lot of these people are Sony adjacent, right? Somebody said Pony adjacent earlier, which I laughed at, but they are Sony. A lot of them probably grew up playing PlayStation and Nintendo, to be fair, and that's their thing. So I think the bias is not something where, like, because Destin had that going on too, where him and not him, but other people in the chat were like, some ponies, to be clear, were like, oh, they got an Illuminati. One guy called in trying to, it's no Illuminati. Nobody is saying it's some Illuminati.
And no one has ever suggested that. No one.
They were trying to diminish, but you know how people try to diminish your point by making a really extreme version of what they're talking about. So it's clearly no Illuminati, it's no cabal, like you said, Boom. I was writing that during the chat as it was happening during that stream. But the point of it is there are biases. That's the most clearest point, and it's going to be biased. There's nothing we can do about it. However, when you're in a position,
there's something we can do about it.
Well, I mean, I'm saying we can't force them not to be that way. Is what I'm saying.
We cannot force them. No.
So, but my point is, like, the thing is, it's going to exist, but the problem is when the position that they're in is like the Bible would say something my grandmother used to tell me: them that know better and don't get whipped with many stripes. So if they know better in the position they're in, you're supposed to handle it a bit better and at least try to check a bit of your biases. I don't think they necessarily do. I'm not trying to make it like all of them are terrible. Sometimes it's one or two people at a spot that make the whole spot look bad. If you look at some spots, like look at Dan Stapleton, that everybody keeps talking about, right? He made IGN look incredibly terrible. Now they got other people, don't get me wrong.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, he wasn't the only dude in there.
Oh no, there's a bit of an arms bad.
There are a few there,
list,
but he in particular made the spot hot for them. On top of them continuously reposting, we gave Starfield a 7. It's like, we got it. Beat it, and that's the point that Alex was harping on.
It's like they want to use Xbox.
It's a matter of
they know how popular Xbox
this game. This super big anticipated game, Starfield, we gave a 7. Let's keep chiming that in because we know it's generating a ton of traffic. So they have their own role where they play into the console warring, but then they try to hide their hand and act like, oh no, we didn't do anything. Yes, they did, and they know they did. That's the part I find disingenuous. Now,
100%.
And I think Charlie Hustle said something really great in the chat that made a lot of sense, and Hargeet did as well. I'm not going to call Destin names because I don't believe that Destin is a pony bot or anything like that. I think Destin just is a little disconnected from where we're at. You know what I mean? And he made a good point. Charlie said he has a new father, got another child right now. He's trying to do his family thing. He has a lot going on top of trying to run his channel and do his thing at IGN.
That's cool.
He's not going to be as connected as we are on the subject.
Don't act like you're repping us, right? Like, I don't.
But I think he is. I don't. Right?
Care,
I think he just has a different view. That's all it is, and that's where I go back
a different view was fine
earlier. But let me just say this one part. This is the point. I said this. Remember, you were on the fix, and I said this to you too, because we had a really good discussion on there 2 weeks ago. And one of my things that I said is that I don't want us as Xbox fans to get in the habit, and the terrible habit I see of us saying, "Oh, I'm going to turn against you. You are this thing. You are on the other side of this." We gotta stop doing that, because to me,
both sides do.
On both sides, it's okay for us to.
But it can't be the receiver only who's worried about that. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the thing. Like, it's easy to say, like, hey,
calling me a name is how I see it. I think it's okay for us to disagree. Now, if you have a terrible take, if I have a terrible take, by all means, you have the right to call me out on it. And I should be an adult man, should be able to listen to you and say, you know what? All right, let me check what you're saying there. Let me look into what you're saying. Maybe I misspoke maybe I made a bad take on this, right? That's okay. But let me ask you a question though. Did
Destin do that? Did Destin do that though? I'm sorry. When he did that, did Destin do that when he did that long ass video?
He did.
No,
at the end,
he said, "Well, I guess I kind of see it." But,
no, when he had the call,
I agree to disagree every time somebody came up with some good point. Like, my man wasn't out there to change. He wasn't going to do that to sit there and say, I'm open to see what's going on. You know what I'm saying?
But be fair, like, if I'm talking to you about something, your mind is made up. I'm not just going to change your mind either. You are a man too. If you have your beliefs, I'm not going to be like, well, 2 and 2 is actually 5, and you can be like, you know what, you right. You're not just going to change because you have your beliefs too, right? And I don't think Destin is being fake. I think he actually believes what he believes. But
I think you come on and do a second video
because he's connected toward IGN and the media in general, and not enough toward us.
I will say this, guys.
Good point there. I think he's just kind of outside of our, you know what I mean?
But then what are you doing? Because that's your job, fam. Like, I don't know why we give it. This is the thing. I appreciate it, right? We want to give the guy a kudos or whatever. Dope. Let's cut the BS, bro. This is his job to be in tune with us. His job is not
supposed to be
with them. His job is to be representing the Xbox community. If he's going to be a voice for the Xbox people,
his job is really to make content.
His job is to make content. His job is to make
really an Xbox fan, but his job is to make content.
Well, for IGN,
for the Xbox fans, right?
His job is not to do anything with this console war shit. This is not his job. He is not getting paid to say that Xbox tax is or is not real. He said he put out a video that was his own opinion.
I'm pretty sure he made some money on those videos, my man.
That was his own opinion. And then he stood on that spot and he had people call in. He opened himself up to so much hate and damage for an opinion that he really truly believes, and I really respect him for that. I'm really sorry that he disagrees with you and some other people, but we can't just like roast this guy because he doesn't agree with us. Like, and also, if you actually listen to the things that he was saying, all he was saying is that he doesn't agree with the word Xbox tax. A lot of the things that we pointed out to him were things that he ended up agreeing with. He's like, these are bad names for, like, these are bad headlines, these are bad takes, like. There were a lot of things he was like,
he diminished them down. He reduced it to the ridiculous, right? No matter what the argument was, he was like, well, I know you feel that way, but it was just a bad one-line verbiage, just a bad headline here. Yeah, that was stupid. But he kept saying all these things that equal exactly what we're talking about, right? All those little things that he kept diminishing as this small thing here and there.
That to your credit, I get your point on that. He did kind of do that first, but he was.
Of course he did. I heard the whole thing. I heard every single time.
And having
everything they had to say, he was very respectful to them.
Yeah, you got to give him credit for that. I think.
But it was bullshit.
Hey, it was just his opinion that happened to be different.
Again, let me jump in here for a second, because first of all, like I said, I'm sorry we got to this. I don't know how we got here, because we still have two topics. We have time to get to the other
money.
Two. You know, but no,
it's my fault.
It's fine. It's fine. It's a conversational podcast. It's fine. The truth of the matter is this. Look, like Destin, don't like Destin. I like Destin. I'm still sub to his channel. I disagreed with some of his takes. The one, and I said this publicly yesterday, one of my distastes from that is the fact that he used the word insane and crazy
Yeah,
way too much to equate
I
to
agree
the
with that.
community. I did not
Like
like that.
you
At
don't need to do
all.
it for this dude.
Shout
He knew
out
he's a
to our
grown man.
brother
He knew the
Ham
words he
Solo,
was
by the way,
saying.
who made a response video to that and on him being called crazy. You're right. I think some of his stuff was a little too much when he said certain things. The crazy. See, that's what we were talking about a minute ago, right? Where you were pointing out like how he downplayed. He did agree with us that these headlines were terrible, but the way he kind of did it was like, yeah, that was a bad one. Yeah, sure, but. So I agree with you there, C. However, I agree with Danny on the point where he was literally agreeing with us that that's a bad take. He did say those words too. I think.
So you don't think that's just pandering to the audience right there, where he's already been taking enough heat, so he's just finishing off by saying, "I guess so."
He called him out on Twitter too with that. I've seen him do that. And to be fair, you know what I mean. Like even when times where he didn't have to pander to us. Remember the whole. I know you all remember the whole. That's crazy. Almost as crazy as the $9.99 for Game Pass. He's actually, you know what I'm saying, bigged up.
He does do that a lot
when he didn't have to do that. It wasn't just a pander. So I think he is an Xbox guy. I think that the problem is that he's entrenched into the IGN culture. He's entrenched into being a media person. So he can't not only can he not see certain things, but also he probably sees it in a way that they see it with his colleagues and such. You know what I mean?
That's another thing that he pointed out is he was like, I know some of these people, and so like I'm seeing them for the real people and like what they're actually saying, whereas you guys are reading the bad headline that doesn't necessarily reflect what they're actually trying to say, and you're running with that. And it's like that's completely valid. And you pair that on top of the fact that he's also in the industry, and it's like he knows how these things work, right?
Yeah.
So like what he's saying is pretty true. Like that is probably accurate. Like,
I gotta say, man, using the excuse that I'm on the inside, that doesn't mean shit to the people who are out here. I don't care what he knows on the inside. All I care about is what we see and what we experience as Xbox heads. I don't care his rationale. That means nothing to me. He didn't come out and say, this is what he did. He made a video, okay, he got ripped for by the Xbox community. Then he went ahead and said, okay, I'm going to do this live. But he didn't say, what he said was, you tell me how I'm wrong. Come over here and give your points.
Well, he wanted you to produce evidence of rhetoric, and a lot of guys did. A lot of community members did show.
Did you hear when KT the GOAT was on? Did you hear when KT the GOAT?
Oh yeah,
KT the GOAT. He was on, and he gave him like the best bars out of everybody who was there. Told him exactly what was happening. Got him when he tried to say, oh, I'm on the inside. And my man said, yeah, that's like when the police say they do their own investigation on the internals and see what's good. It doesn't matter. I don't care what he feels or thinks as a media dude, man. His points are invalid.
Today. He said, we did our investigation on ourselves and found no issues. Yeah,
that's why I say
that makes part of the problem is the big thing internally with them. So how can you sometimes see an issue when you're part of that thing?
But the point is, you shouldn't have done it. No, he should not have made the video talking about Xbox tax if he's not on the ground with the people who feel it.
No, see,
if he's too up above with the IGN head,
think about it. Though, should I tell you that, hey, you shouldn't talk like that? You shouldn't feel that way. No, because you're gonna feel.
No. I'm saying if he didn't want the smoke, right? If he didn't want people to be pissed at what he was saying.
I don't think he's mad.
But I think Destin knew. It was like his first sentence in the first video was like, "I know this isn't going to make me a lot of fans."
Yeah,
like he knew that it wasn't going to be a popular take. He just wanted to talk about it.
He knows it's going to come. It's going to happen. What I give him credit for is saying, "I'm going to have an open dialogue with this community," something nobody else would do in his position, by the way. So I'm going to give him credit for that. I'm not going to
Paris came on here.
Besmirch the man. No, well, Paris is not exactly in Destin's position either, though.
Yeah, Paris. I would consider Paris, even though he's a content creator. Yes, I wouldn't consider Paris media. I mean, does he work with IGN and does he work with kind of and is kind of funny media. But ultimately, again, he may think differently. I mean, like I said, we're friends. I think I would consider him more content creation than I would consider him like media. Like, I don't know if that's how he would feel, but that's how I look at it.
Toward us on the ground level in some ways. At that too, I'll give him that. But
what I was suggesting is that he's not this grand person for going online and saying, here,
who else is doing it though? See, who else is doing that?
But the point is what does it matter? What does it matter if he's going to take every point that was made to him and just let it be. He just let it slide. I agree to disagree. I agree to disagree.
And that's fine. We don't all have to agree. That is absolutely correct. Like I said,
this is the point of it. You saying that if this is the way he should have done it, and this is the way we said it on the show.
IGN has this issue. We've talked about IGN all the time. All of us, we know it to be true.
IGN is connected to problematic,
IGN, and we're saying, hey, IGN is at fault here. Y'all got some issues going on there. Even Ryan McCaffrey, and he's hearing that out, and he's saying, I'm going to talk with you anyway there, and let you come on my channel with thousands of people watching, including my colleagues, and have you voice your dislikes and such on even Ryan McCaffrey, because Ryan was called out during that stream. And he said, hey, I'm going to let him defend himself. That's not my job. And he's correct.
Right.
But my point is, nobody in his position is doing what he do. Nobody in anybody else's position on PlayStation side, mind you, will do what Xbox guys will do. I'm talking about field on down to people like Destin and in position he is in IGN. They don't come and communicate with PlayStation guys. So I'm not going to, besmirch the man and be like, no, I think that it's just a matter of viewpoints, and his viewpoints and his takes, we don't all agree. I don't agree with everything he said. And I agree with you that he was dismissive at points. We told him
he was very dismissive.
We told him. We said it in the chat.
What are we even talking about? What are we even arguing about here? What's the point of the conversation? He was dismissive. It doesn't matter what he did besides that.
But nobody.
There was no point.
My thing is, he said I acknowledge that I was dismissive. He said that later on when people said I was.
Okay, but
I'm sorry. And
saying it after the fact doesn't change what happened.
What you guys' viewpoint is, I can't ask somebody to just change everything they believe. I believe that he believes the way he does. I just don't think that he's looking at it from all the angles and on a level that
he's not in a position to even to talk about it, because he's the one on
why
trial.
Are you mad about him talking about
He works for the team. He works for the people that we're talking about.
Yeah,
that's like having a gang war and be like, let me get your opinion on the other side. Like, of course you're gonna feel that way. You know what I'm saying? Like, of course. What do we expect? You just said it. IGN pays their dollars. The fact that we're even having this discussion about this dude who gets paid by the company that we're all annoyed with, who came out here and sat there and collected money from us for watching that and for going ahead and doing super chats, is mind-blowing to me, dude. Like, this is crazy that we're even trying to give this guy roses for showing up and collecting money.
I don't think never gotten super chats.
But he's gotten
I think it's really
commendable that he did that. I think it's
really genuinely commendable. But by the way,
but he didn't acknowledge it, so it's not commendable.
He did.
He didn't acknowledge it. He just said the same things.
He acknowledged
that. Oh, I agree. Oh, go ahead and do it, yo. And you guys, you stopped me when I talked about KT the GOAT, because if you tell me that wasn't disrespectful, that when KT the GOAT gave him actual solid stuff, he started disconnecting from the guy and going ahead and say, oh, I'm sorry, I'm just getting the next caller lined up, I'm doing this, get the fuck. That's disrespectful, bro. That's disrespectful.
What I remember.
But
that's disrespectful.
But my point to you, though, I asked you, because Danny just had a good point there too. He said, then why are we giving him more credit than he deserves? Why then are we like, oh, let's complain about him? If you feel the way you feel, why are we even giving him that much?
Because we don't necessarily look at it as if it was just him. To be honest with you, most of us out here, we're thinking that IGN probably put this out here because there's some way to make it happen.
Oh man, come on. On top of that, you actually sat there and watched it.
Nobody knows nothing, right?
That's what I'm saying. Like, we actually sat there and watched this guy. We communicate with this guy daily. I don't think he's just lying. That's the thing. Like, I don't think he's just doing this for whatever. I know he's getting profit from it.
He was lying. That's what he feels.
That's my point. So if he feels the way,
but this is not for him to
like, oh, your opinion don't matter. You see what I'm saying?
So should he also not put out the 30 anti-PlayStation videos he's put out? Because he's talked really hard against PlayStation. This is one of the only times that he's been really genuinely hard on Xbox. And it's really just him saying that the industry he works in is not corrupt. Do you really think that he's going to be sat there in his job and be like, oh yeah, everyone I work for sucks? No, he's not going to do that.
Nobody said that.
Never going to happen.
What he should have done is manned up and said, you know what? Listen, I obviously work for this company, so I'm not going to be able to say anything regardless of what I feel. But what I will do is, because I'm an Xbox dude and I know this is something that matters to the Xbox community, I'm going to use my platform for you guys to come on and say what you feel. Put your receipts out there, not to be judged. No. He judged. He decided what was worthy or not, or he said, all right, agree to disagree. He should have just removed himself from the conversation, because we know that he has no part in it. He works for them. He has no part in the conversation. You cannot give your opinion as if it's something else when you could be misleading people because you work for them. You work for them. That's just what it is. You can't do that. You have to choose it. You have to say
action. He's not purposely saying doing these things. That's why I said I think it's a matter of perspective and the position he's in. To your credit, yeah, it's going to be some type of conflict of interest. There's nothing he can do about that, right? Unless he removes himself from that company. However,
or he could do exactly what I just said, right?
That.
Give a platform to the people to talk because he cares, but not as a judgment, not to sit there and be like, convince
but it wasn't
me.
A judgment. He just disagreed. He can't say your opinion is
wrong. He literally asked for proof and evidence.
Yeah, but
he asked for proof and evidence, my dude. That's the only thing. That's the answer. That's the answer. He put it in that position. He said, "Prove to me,
gentlemen." I want to squash it because we're just going to go around in circles. Honestly, the truth of the matter is that we're just not we're not going to agree, and that's perfectly
A-OK. At the end of the day,
we just are not going to agree. See, money, your points
it's just ponyish is a word. Ponyish, pony tangent. These are the things that when the Xbox heads who are hoping that, and again, listen, not everybody's in the same boat, right? You guys don't necessarily feel the same things, right? And that's fine, right? But I know a lot of these Xbox heads who feel like they're not being given a word or being represented properly in the industry. It's frustrating when you think you got somebody who is, and they go and do the opposite on you, right? That's why everybody who's out there who's been getting backlash, that's why they get it.
I think Destin, I think some of y'all are a little harder on him than he deserves. I think he's represented Xbox fairly well as far as it comes to us. He's been harder on PlayStation than he has on Xbox. And he has said some things we're not all going to agree. It's just, it is what it is at the end of the day. But I think though that I'm not going to call him a name because I don't agree with his take, unless it's really outlandish, like what Ryan McCaffrey did when he put his foot all the way into his mouth.
Being called a pony is not a slur. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're not out here calling him a slur. You know what I'm saying?
Kind of. When they call me,
if you call him a pony, then you're just saying that you are not showing me an Xbox person narrative right now.
But no, listen, regardless of that, it's a thing to make us other than. That's my point. That's why I say I don't agree with that, because when it's somebody who is genuinely there with us, they might not agree with everything we say or feel how we see it. But I mean, I think the dude is well-meaning. I don't think he's sitting there like, I'm going to purposely try to be anti this or say something to try to confuse the issue. I think he believes what he believes, and I think
I think it's more of a word to people. I'm just saying, I think Xbox heads say it to each other so they know. That's all. It's for people to understand the content that they're seeing. That's all. They know who they're watching. And if they want to see somebody who's an Xbox head who's actually talking Xbox, that's who they want to talk to. If they want somebody who's going to be, all right, well, you're an Xbox dude, but you have these hot takes on the things that matter to us, then people also need to know who those people are. And that's why they
that's why they call them these things. At that point, it's up to you as a fan to decide whether or not you want to support. If you don't,
those are the only people that matter at the end of the day. Not Destin. Destin doesn't matter. The fans matter.
It doesn't matter to you,
Destin
and that's
doesn't
fine.
matter. He's doing his job. He's getting paid. If he wants to, nobody told him to put himself in front of people. You put yourself out in front of people. You get the daggers because you want to say something that's not popular. That's on you. That's your choice. And we shouldn't sit here and coddle him like he's a child. He made a decision.
No one's coddling.
He pressed the monetize button.
I called him out yesterday, and I stand by my statement.
Put that video up. He knew what he was doing.
I don't think it's coddling at all, though. And I
don't think it's coddling.
What I'm saying is that he doesn't need a defense force. What he needs, the people need a defense force.
But I'm defending because I think he's right.
The community is the one who's annoyed.
If I think you're wrong, see, that's the thing. I'm going to say, hey, I agree with Destin on this, or I don't think he's this thing. If I don't think that he's that thing, it's not a defense.
For me, guys, I think there's a difference between being disingenuous, which I don't think he was, and dismissive, which he was.
He was dismissive.
He dismissed it,
called him out on
and
that, yep.
I called him out for it. Mm-hmm. He used the word insane way too much to equate what an Xbox fan is thinking and feeling. Agreed. I feel he was 1,000% wrong with that.
Yeah,
and he actually acknowledged that he should not have used that terminology because that's being dismissive. That's being, in my opinion, even damn. I could even use saying it's being disrespectful.
It was,
because you cannot call me crazy because I personally feel that. And again, I said this on the stream yesterday. There is no cabal and there's no secret lair where journalists from around the industry meet up. And the way he was trying to, sometimes he implied that, and that is not, in fact, the truth. There has not been one take from anybody in the Xbox community
making it
that,
like
that actually exists. Exactly. That's ridiculous.
And if you go back to that stream, that live stream, you'll see me in the chat like arguing that, writing out whole passages and stuff. Like, nobody's saying it's a cabal, nobody's saying it's Illuminati, and saying he was dismissive. All those things I agree with. He was dismissive, and he acknowledged that, and he didn't. It's not like he shied away from it when we called him out on being dismissive. He said, "Hey, okay, guys, you thought I was dismissive. All right, I'm sorry if I was dismissive." He said that. I'm going to give him credit where it is, and then I'm going to take him to task
where he needs to have the smoke. Absolutely.
Yeah, he was dismissive and disrespectful by saying crazy and all the other stuff. But that's not a coddling to say, "Hey, I don't think he's that thing." And that's where I say we have to be careful. We already had one incident earlier here, and I'm going to just say it because we did withdrawn TJ, and I point that out because I got love for TJ. TJ knows.
Yeah, TJ's a good dude. He's a good dude. And we talked to DMs PS, by the way. So
however,
we're good.
To TJ and people like that, we get sometimes a little too extreme and we jump to conclusions. I heard that the other day when you talked, Boom. You didn't say anything disrespectful. I was laughing in the chat like, yeah, greedy Umbra, greedy TJ.
Yeah, because we won everything.
There. You just simply said, no, I don't think he's that thing. And when we get to the point of where, oh, you're that thing, if you don't agree with me, that's where it gets dangerous. And that's where.
So, but let me ask you a question. Did you not just kind of label somebody as some because they have strong beliefs that they're too extreme?
In your opinion, he jumped to an extreme position.
But what I'm saying is that why can't somebody else feel the same way about what Destin did?
But that's not my point.
Only because it's rational to you.
Was it a title? He just literally said Boom didn't deserve his channel. That's not an extreme take to you.
Oh no, I wasn't talking about the
that's what I'm saying. I say there are extreme takes. There's reasonable things to say, hey, you overstep.
I mean, to be fair though, whether a take is wrong or not, right? We're saying that Destin is free to have his takes, right? So whether we know Boom deserves this, we know he deserves his stuff. But if somebody feels like he does it, that's the same conversation, right? It's the same conversation we're having. Destin can go ahead and say what he wants, no matter what. He was called Xbox fans might feel.
See, that's the thing. No one's recusing him of that.
Right.
I thoroughly thrashed him yesterday for those takes, and I stand by it. And I think that if I were to meet him, he might even put out his hand and say, "Thank you, because you checked me," and he deserved to be checked. Again, I don't agree. Everything that he said in that video, folks, I'm here to tell you, and I'm here to tell C Money and everybody on this panel and everybody in the chat right now, I disagree. I think there's no cabal. There's no He-Man woman haters Xbox club. There's none of that. There are disingenuous journalists. There are people in the industry that consider themselves quote unquote journalists because they write for a living. That doesn't make them officially journalists. And we know that what they use, and it's unfair that they use our passion against us. And that's ultimately the sin of many people, entities like IGN. They specifically continue to put out a particular tweet. And this is and what they are doing is baiting the Xbox community because we're passionate. You see, when you look at the Xbox community, we have been down for a long time. And now that we are up, we are celebrating. We are excited, right? We're through the moon of what we have coming for us. If you're not an Xbox fan now, you're probably going to be at some point because there's just so much goodness going on, right? And you can't say that about PlayStation. And I hate to say this, and I've said this publicly, and I'll stand by this. The PlayStation community is one of the most unwelcoming, most toxic places you could possibly be a fan of. And that's because they are in first place, and their community, like I said, they're unwelcoming and they're brutal. Why is that?
You hit
because they are young. There are
what else
younger.
hit on the head, and that's exactly why. Because I know you're right there, and the pattern that they're on, and the behavior they have. I don't want us to mimic that. They have a very us monolithic versus them belief system. Our Who brothers, and we get dangerously close to that when we start doing all that. Oh, you don't agree with my opinion? You are this thing. Then that's what we got to get away from. We
got to be careful about that.
Have differences.
What you don't want to be is be compared to them. I would
absolutely, and I don't
want to be compared to a PlayStation. And again, this is not every PlayStation gamer. Understand, we're not throwing everybody under an umbrella. We are saying that a very loud portion, the most loud or the loudest, if you will, of the PlayStation community is unwelcoming. Is
the vocal majority, right?
Yes, and that is unfortunately what we hear.
I say it is perfectly fine for like C Money to feel how he feels on Destin. I'm not telling you
1,000% it is.
It's perfectly fine for everybody to feel how they feel in this chat, like all you guys. However, I'm saying just because if anybody disagrees with your opinion on something, don't jump to the extreme of you are this other thing then now because you didn't agree with me. That's what I've seen us do continuously since last year. And it's getting worse and worse, and it's going to start making us act and behave like
I don't want us to be looked at as a toxic community. If there's one thing that I've been doing YouTube for 6 years, right? And if there is one thing that I can say, and you got to understand, I'm putting the spotlight on me like I like to do because I don't shy away from this. I embrace it because I think conversations need to be had. I'm a retired New York City police officer. And I put that out on Front Street. And you know what? Mrs. Boom was a little nervous about that because she's like, I don't know how people are going to take it. That's why I'm as clear as glass. That's why I am as transparent. What you see here, folks, right now is what I was in uniform. You don't get the term officer friendly because you're a dick. That's not in fact the case. So what you see here is what I did when I put on the cape and cowl and I was patrolling New York City. This is what you got. So I am that here. Not everyone can say that, but my whole point is that I was welcomed into this community with open arms, and I am consistently getting messages of love and respect, and it's beautiful. And it's so amazing that at times it makes you choke up. And that is what ultimately the Xbox community is. They're welcoming. They're inclusive. They're willing to have a conversation. They want to game together. They want to talk about games together. You don't get that with PlayStation. So that's why when Umbra says we got to be real careful about how I'm not saying you should tiptoe. Be who you want to be. I'm not here to tell you that. I'm going to be who I'm going to be. And we can all still be friends, but it's a dangerous line when we start saying that you are this. Yeah. And obviously that's I mean, it's just video games. It's not like calling someone out for their race or something, which is horrendous.
Right.
It happens, but you never want to walk that razor's edge. It's dangerous.
It is. Now, to be fair, unless they make a really outlandish, ridiculous,
then
stupid statement, I'll give you again. I'll go back to Ryan, and I like Ryan McCaffrey, but he absolutely, if anybody was to be called a pony body, it would have been him when he did that Tomb Raider thing and complaining about that.
So you see a horrible take.
But you see what I'm saying though? Like what's like this is wild.
No, but that was wildly
extreme. It's a choice. The difference is that you chose that this was the thing that you feel passionate about.
No, that was
right. Like that. But I mean, but that is because you just said it's okay to do it in that case, right?
He literally said, "Hey, this is bad when Xbox did it. Oh, hey, this is good when PlayStation did it." That was
well, like Destin said, that was also 9 years removed from each other, right?
No way. He
so you know what I'm saying? Like if we're gonna like you get what I'm saying? Like you got to look at it both ways. If you're gonna say that Destin's doing one thing and what he's doing is okay, but then what somebody else did
I don't think anyone
was not okay. No, I'm sorry. I'm saying that it's not as bad as what Ryan did. That's Umbra being the judge of the situation. Other people can feel that what Destin did made us feel that way, right? So what I'm saying is that we shouldn't shut down the people who feel like you feel about Ryan because you feel that way about Ryan. Other people may feel that way about what Destin did, and that's their choice.
Who did you think was worse then? Ryan being blatantly hypocritical, or Destin giving an opinion that you don't agree with?
Honestly, if I was looking at it right now, because we're in the position we are right now, it's easy to see why Ryan was a flip-flop back then, because Xbox was down.
Was blatantly, if you want to call it, pony bodish. Who's was closer to that? If we're being honest.
I mean, honestly, if we're taking it for a situation as to right now, I would say
right now. I'm just saying in general. You know, and I know that Ryan's was much more egregious because his was blatantly hypocritical, where he praised PlayStation and faulted Xbox when he did the exact same type of thing.
But that doesn't feel the same because it was 9 years removed. So you had to keep how much energy from last time.
I'm talking about the action.
Okay, but the action for me, when everybody right now, the biggest thing that's happening to Xbox right now, the biggest thing that's happening is that they're being unfairly judged in the market. Now, you may not care, right? You may not think that matters. And I'm not talking about you, bro. I'm talking about just anybody who's listening, right? Like the people may not care because they're not as invested, right? Fine. Right. You don't care because to you, this doesn't matter that way, right? Cool. But let's not diminish the people who it does matter that much for. Because you know what? All these years when you were starting your channel, boom, the reason why these people were very kumbaya was because they were all down and they were looking for a group to kind of feel connected to somebody and feel like there was a community for them. Right now, we're not down, but they want to put us down. And that's what's annoying to the people who care. Right? Because the people who care are sick of being held in the same standard as if we're back in 2013. It's been 10 years, fam. We're in a whole different ballpark.
Yeah, I think they have Xbox from back then, and they're trying to conflate that with Xbox of now. And so I agree with you. Like they're trying to conflate what used to be Xbox and how it was represented.
Like for instance, they won't let go of the stigmatism. Xbox has no games.
Yeah. It's like, dude, we have 40 fucking studios. What do you mean we're not? Bro, we have games. We have more games possible than you're gonna have in the next 10 years.
No question.
In PlayStation.
Yeah. Okay, no, hold on. Time out. First of all, why do you keep saying we like you're on the team? Like
I'm on the team. I'm on the Xbox team for sure.
We are not here to like stand here and rah Xbox and defend Xbox and bash PlayStation. That's not what this channel is for.
It's called the Xbox Factor Podcast.
Okay, boom.
No, it is
the Xbox Factor Podcast.
Yeah, we're here to celebrate the brand. That's what we're here to do.
Yeah, we're here to celebrate Xbox.
This is not they do things bad and then bash PlayStation for nothing, correct?
But what do they do bad right now? Just what are they doing right now that we're bashing?
Look,
all we're hearing is that people were talking about this no Xbox tax. There's nothing to bash about Xbox right now.
If you are wearing Xbox's brand like it's a some badge of honor, like it's your sports team, like that's not like that's not how this works.
Oh, hold on. Right? So sports are not. So this is not. You can't compare it to that. If
no, this
isn't
sports
brands do it.
This is not a sports team.
Okay, so you're saying definitively that if you feel like you're part of a team by being on the Xbox side of things, then we're crazy because it's not a sport.
I'm not saying you're crazy. I'm saying that that's not how normal people think, right?
So, but if you're not normal, then you're crazy.
No,
you're abnormal, right?
Abnormal is not crazy.
Oh, okay, got it. You just walk funny or something like that, right?
Look, see, you need to take a step back, okay? This is a situation where like this is just a brand. If you are attaching so much of your personality to this brand that you're getting upset that somebody else doesn't like this brand or is talking bad about this brand, even if it's a perceived thing like Destin, where he's not actually saying anything bad about Xbox at all, then maybe you need to take a step back and be like, I don't work for Microsoft. Their money is not my money. This is not a sports team. This is not a competition that I sit and I watch a sports game for. This is billionaires making video games. This is art. It's a different thing.
So watching millionaires compete with each other and you get none of that money, but you spend the money on the merch and all that stuff, that's in no way the same as being involved with a company and wanting to see them grow and be successful and be recognized.
I'll go further than that for Danny, because I think Danny misspoke a bit. I think in the same way that we aren't on that team, we aren't on Xbox either. But I get the sentiment. See, I get it 100%. I often say we, even though I have to correct myself.
I've said
we are not part of it.
See, for me personally, I've always equated, and this is where I have to agree with C Money. I don't think he means we like he has invested. He's sitting down with Phil Spencer to go over the numbers. None of us are doing that, but I do. I have personally always, I have always equated the passion like a sports team. See, that's how I see this.
No, I get it. I've
that's
also
just
done
me.
it myself, so I know exactly what you mean.
So I agree with C-Money on this. Where okay, so it's technically not a sports team, but there are a lot of similarities. Like you want to see. I'm a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, and when they f up, I'm on Twitter and I'm adding Coach Tomlin. And I'm like, you guys got to fire this Matt Canada guy. He's freaking terrible.
It's all come back down to
him.
tribalism at the end of the day, Boom. That's what it is.
I just don't understand why we're creating this barrier of like us and them between people who enjoy a blue box and people who enjoy a green box. Like it doesn't make any sense.
I enjoy all the boxes.
Because like
and I'm very clear about
boxes. That. I probably spend more money on the other box than most people do. I don't think that.
Why does it like? Why are you so mad about somebody disagreeing with you about this?
Care. Because I've been rocking Xbox since 2001. It's been 22 years of my life repping this team. It's a team. I don't care if you don't think it's a team, but I feel like it's a team.
Does it hurt your enjoyment of it that other people don't like it?
Let me ask you a question. The problem is I'm a grown. Listen, I'm a grown man with mortgage, bills, everything, right? I can't play games all day. I don't have the time. So what my life has shifted to is I play what I can, and now I enjoy being part of the community, and I enjoy what happens with the actual industry. And yes, for me, it does annoy me that Xbox does not get the respect that it deserves. It's annoying to me. Yes, absolutely. I buy PlayStation
I don't think there's anything
because
wrong with
I
that.
will play them.
I honestly don't think that you can't. And you know something? If you are a fan of a brand, regardless of what brand that is, and you feel that the brand is not getting the proper coverage as you would want the brand to be covered, then you absolutely, and you have several shows to talk about that, which you do on a weekly basis. Nothing wrong with that either. I just think that, again, ultimately, look, at the end of the day, I'm going to say this, and I really want to move on to the main topic, which is the Call of Duty one. There is, in fact, an inherent bias against Xbox. No one's going to move me off the square. That is a fact because you see it.
That's in fact the tax right there. It's the negative bias that they have, and they use it unconsciously. I said this on the show. They use it sometimes. Well, not all of them. Some of them use it consciously, but
some of them do it for great purpose, which is clicks.
And it's not like they're trying, not all of them at least, are trying to be like, oh, we're going to say this negative thing about Xbox. But a lot of them have an unconscious bias that is against Xbox and pro PlayStation. And it shows out in the work and the way they speak, I think. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that's part of it.
Again, remember, how they conduct themselves is if you like PlayStation more than Xbox, okay, not a problem. When you go out and you see the headlines, like what happened with Game Rant specifically, the Starfield numbers are dropping, the players it's a failure. We know that is they're enticing and they are stoking the fires specifically to garner the rage clicks that are going to come in. That's an absolute fact, and that's gross. And that's disingenuous.
Yep.
And they know they're going to get it. And people are going to, like myself, may quote tweet, because I won't click on it. I have learned that I am not a part of the problem anymore. I'm not clicking on any of this shit. Yeah. I may read a headline and we may have a conversation. I'm not going to read the article because you're not getting me like that. I'm just not going to be a part of the problem. I don't
click on IGN. I don't click on Kotaku. I don't click on none
of these. GameSpot is another one. There are a lot of them that have completely, that don't even exist to me anymore. And I have turned to, Hazardor Gaming, Idle Sloth. I mean,
Idle Sloth.
There's so many of them. I mean, I'm sorry if I'm missing you. Clobriel is out there with that's where I get my information from. I don't go to these hack websites. And ultimately, like I said, if all of this is going to this was an amazing conversation. So shout out to C-Money for bringing it up, because I didn't want to go here today, but we're here. Let's just rip off the band.
Here.
I think that we all made unbelievable points. I think that we may not all agree, which is awesome. Mm-hmm. I think that nobody wants to be a bunch of robots. No Xbox. Yeah. We all have our opinions.
Yes, man.
Yes, man. That's a perfect example. Yeah. I think it was a phenomenal. Damn, we're an hour and We're an hour and a half into the show already, and I
It's been
still
a
have
good discussion. That's why I love having C come to the show. By the way, C.
C's, yeah,
That's
why he's a part of the show on a regular basis. Because we're
might
not
always
always
agree,
going to agree.
but I know that you genuinely believe what you believe. I know Danny genuinely believes what he believes. I know Boom, you believe what you believe genuinely, and I'm the same. Like minds get along, and I think that's fine. We don't have to always agree, and that's what I want to impart on everybody in the chat.
Sure.
Not everything we're going to agree on. We had this discussion about the Hogwarts thing, and I say this because I shout out to Michelle Alexandria, whose message was blocked because I think she cursed. But for instance, we didn't agree on the Hogwarts thing. She felt the way because of JK. I was like, wow, skip all that. JK, blah, blah, blah. And I don't want to misrepresent her view. But I was like, listen, Hogwarts was done like this. It shouldn't have been done that way because it's how you feel about JK Rowling, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Well, Michelle might not have necessarily agreed there, or whomever. I'm not saying that's what it was because I can't remember. But I'm not going to be mad at that person for feeling how they feel because that's how they feel. I think it's fair to have scrutiny if somebody gives a bad take or a bad opinion. That's fine, right? I just want us, as far as the community goes, not to jump to outlying each other and throwing each other under the bus, because we did it before last year. I had to say this message on here before. I don't know if you all remember that. And I don't want us to go that way because, again, we talk about our
It's ugly. It's ugly.
Very much
and I don't like playing in those waters.
Yeah.
I like peace. I like tranquility. I like having different opinions.
Absolutely.
But what I don't want to do is ever be equated to how toxic
not
the PlayStation community is. And some of their biggest representatives are the most egregious and heinous of the hate. And it's nauseating. So what we don't
and they go out there and they bring it, right? And that's the difference, right? There's a difference between going at somebody for no reason whatsoever, and then there's a reason when somebody does. There's a difference between doing that and when somebody does something and you retaliate, whether it be talking or whatever, or you're discussing it or you have your feelings about what somebody did. Versus what they tend to do is they just go out of their way to just talk shit for no reason, right?
Absolutely.
Like that's what separates us, right? Like listen,
they are also
very
started. As far as the thing,
if you don't start it, there won't be nothing, right? Like there's no need to come out and start talking crap, because if you talk something, then we're not going to stay shut. Like that's never going to happen, right?
And as you shouldn't. If you feel passionate about something, you should absolutely speak on it. There is no doubt about it. And there are ways to speak about it. Like, and no one should tell you how you should speak about it. You are a person. You are entitled to speak about it. And again, I think that Amber's onto something about when it's a really, really disingenuous bad take. And like I said, that's why I called Destin out. I called him out because I did not like his dismissive nature. And thankfully, he realized he was being dismissive.
Yeah,
which it could be looked at as being disrespectful.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
He was disrespectful and dismissive at a point. Not overly so, but he definitely was.
But he absolutely was. And the word crazy and insane was used to, I think he might have said it 9 times. I think I counted. And if I miscounted, I miscounted. And maybe it was more than that. You don't do that. You cannot say that just because you can't do that. And look, the truth of the matter is that there's a couple of things that there were some lessons learned here by Destin yesterday before we move on to the main topic of the show. And that was you put yourself out there, and you did that in a way where even though I respect you putting yourself out there, you could not answer all the questions because you are too close to the situation because you work for IGN.
Yeah,
so you cannot be full-throated with your answers. You have to be, you're limited because you want to be able to,
have a job,
mortgage. Right.
Yeah.
So he can't. So again, he shouldn't have said anything. As a matter of fact, he probably should have just said, look, I'm hearing this thing. This is my opinion. And again, if you don't agree with me, fine. His dismissiveness and his use of the word crazy probably hurt his credit more so than anything he's done before. And that is something that he is going to have to work out. If you are, like I said, I didn't unsub him. I've called him out on my show because I actually have a voice and I have a community that appreciates that. And here we are again talking about it today. And you know something? I called him out again live on the air. That was incredibly disrespectful to your audience. And you can't call people crazy. That's just wrong. And you know what? He probably lost thousands of subs yesterday. And you know what? He's gonna have to work it out. He's gonna have to do something to get those fans back. But at the end of the day, this was awesome. So shout out to C Money again for kind of bringing it up. And here we are, an hour into, and
that's why he'd be having 4-hour streams right there.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. I did all my cleaning already, so I'm good. But look, before we get to the last topic, I got to catch up on the super chats, gentlemen. There's so many of them. Bold Alpha Wolfpack drops not one but two super chats. Now, the first one of $10, he says, when Satya Nadella says down on gaming, I hope he means two things. One, investing more into Xbox Game Studios, and two, letting Matt Booty unleash the hounds and spend PlayStation out of business. Right, Umbra? And I think that's what he meant. When he said double down,
what's that?
He actually meant that they understand from a business point of view that gaming is making millions. And when you look at how much money they're actually going to make, they're literally going to be printing money just with mobile alone, which is why it was the most important thing for them to get. And that's why you look at something like Call of Duty Warzone Mobile has 45 million plus pre-subscribed people, and the game doesn't release until spring of next year. You think that is it safe to say it's going to have 55, 60, 70 million people playing that game on a daily basis? It's ridiculous.
Bold Alpha Wolf said that question was for me. What was the question again?
He says, when Satya Nadella says down on gaming, I hope he means two things. Yeah. And I think that's what he meant, double down. One, investing more into Xbox Game Studios, which I believe. And two, letting Matt Booty unleash the hounds and spends PlayStation out of business. Right, Umbra?
Oh, I mean, yeah. I mean, listen, we spoke on this before. None of us knew that Matt Booty was the shark that he was until we saw those.
That's Beaches.
Absolutely. Shout out to Beaches. No, so absolutely, Alpha Wolfpack.
This is the killer.
We know that Satya is all the way down for them doubling down, like you said, and that's the beauty of this whole thing. Is why we can have the confidence we can have, I think, as a fan base, knowing that the brand is going to be fine. They have their backs now where they didn't before. I'm happy. I'm excited. I think all of us should be, and not just to say this because I'm an Xbox fan, but you look at what they got going on. If I was a PlayStation fan and had this going on, I would be ecstatic. You should be ecstatic as an Xbox fan or as a fan of gaming in general to see all the stuff happening with Xbox. Absolutely.
Look, it's when the guy that is running the show, I'm not talking about Phil Spencer, I'm talking about Satya Nadella, says that they're doubling down on gaming. I'm here to tell you folks, PlayStation is in a pickle. They are in trouble. And look, we didn't talk about it because I talked about it with Umbra. I talked with Everborn and KSN this morning about that story that's floating around about them not having enough money to actually make consoles. Now it's being reported by one site. And I agree that we're kind of sitting back, and even though it's very interesting stuff, and if it's true, yikes. Maybe King David was right about them. No PlayStation 6 publisher. Maybe they go the way of Sega, and Sega could just laugh because
I'm gonna laugh too.
Yeah, of course.
I'm gonna laugh so hard.
When the next Last of Us is on an Xbox because there's no PlayStation 6, it's gonna be laughable. But at the end of the day, we'll wait to see how that story transpires. If you start to see like Reuters and a few of the other ones, something Alpha, start reporting on this, then you're gonna know then it's true, and then we're gonna give it to them. Okay, so he has an additional $5 super chat and says, I want Xbox to buy so much S. Sony can only turn to their first party games to let them see what it's like to get by their own merits. I mean, listen, you're a greedy person like myself and Umbra and Drawn TJ. We want Xbox to own everybody. Sorry, I'm not going to apologize for that. That just is what it is.
What's that?
I
said, hell yeah. We get it in Game Pass, baby. That's the difference, right? PlayStation buys something. That's just another $70 you got to spend. Xbox buys something. That's another $70 I save. Come on,
exactly. Man. Whole Grain Bread, who's been a channel member for 4 months, says, I've been subbed to Destin since he was below 10K. He's made multiple videos on SIE's questionable practices, even one about SIE charging for cross-platform. He's 200% not a pony. He's pro Xbox. And I agree with that. I think that, again, he is a representative of the gaming media, and I think that you take him at his arm's distance. And if you don't agree with him, unsub him immediately. Do not support that guy. But I still do. I do. Yeah. He's done a lot of really great work for Xbox, even though I 1,000% disagree with his take from when he did the thing. Even when he was live, I still disagreed with him. Yeah. And again, I'm gonna stand on this square. Maybe there isn't a cabal, but there is an inherent bias.
There is an inherent bias.
Absolute freaking fact.
And I'm the same as you, Boom. I didn't agree with what he was talking about, and he was trying to belittle the opinion or the thoughts of it.
Yes, the dismissiveness was very insulting.
Yeah, the dismissive was insulting, but it's how I think he's looking at it versus what we're saying that the problem really lies. We're not saying there's some grand conspiracy against Xbox. We're saying that these people have biases that they take into their job and use it against Xbox, sometimes knowingly, sometimes unknowingly. And I think he was dismissive of that thought, and that's what hurt him, I think, overall.
Yeah, absolutely. And shout out to Nintendo on the Otaku. He actually adds an additional really good point here. He says Destin's excuse for the constant reposting of negative Xbox headlines on Twitter is that it's handled by a different team. No commentary. He didn't try. Yeah, see, that's unacceptable as well. I disagree with that. Like, I of course you have nothing to do with it. You're just one journalist, among many journalists. But at the same time, that was part of the dismissiveness that I did not appreciate. Oh yeah, well, they put out to incite a riot that the Elder Scrolls 6 is not coming to PlayStation. But you guys have said that how many times already? Now we know why you're doing it, and it's gross and it's disgusting.
It's fun because IGN breaks themselves up into teams instead of just being IGN, right? They all want to dodge each other. Like, oh no, that's not my team. They're slandering Xbox this way, and they're like, no, it's dumb. Look, they slander it that way. They all want to dodge it to each other. IGN is IGN. Okay, there's one company. They're out here doing it. It's not a different team. That doesn't matter. Because if it was wrong, somebody at IGN be like, yo, don't do that again. But it didn't happen. They kept doing it over and over again. You know what I'm saying?
Engagement, brother. Ultimately, that's the gross part of it. It's about the dollar. It's about the click, and that's what they do. And that's why I don't support them. We have Ryu Art, who drops a $2 super chat and says, IGN paid Destin because he talked IGN's talking points. Yeah, I mean, he was there representing his channel. I mean, that's what he was. It didn't come off that way. It honestly didn't. It was ultimately a really bad take, and he knows it. And he lost thousands of subscribers because of it. And he lost a significant amount of goodwill that he has gotten over the course of his growth to 100K. And he's gonna have to work that out, man. He's gonna have to.
I wonder how many subscribers he may have lost during that.
I'd like maybe he'll make mention of it. Maybe he'll tell us, I lost 2,000 subscribers yesterday because I said some really bad takes.
Overall, how many he lost? He just lost a lot of the real Xbox heads. Yeah, like that's what it is. And the thing is that the streets might be small, but the streets are the one who talk them loudest. You know what I'm saying? So when you're out here and you're sitting and you got all these people, but they would easily unsubscribe for you to go somewhere else if you stop saying what they want. That's just what it is. You do that, people go. You know what I'm saying?
It's a tough line to follow, man, because I can't myself reconcile just being an echo chamber, right? No. Like I want to speak from how I feel. Truly, I don't want to ever lie about how I feel.
It's only an echo chamber if you're lying about what you feel, right? But if you and me are in this, or if you and me are speaking our truths, that's not an echo chamber. That's just us talking.
But I think no, if you genuinely feel that way, fine, right? But I'm saying I think some people genuinely, not genuinely. Some people are disingenuous and will say it just because that's what the crowd that supports them.
Right. They won't take a personal stance. They'll just kind of move with the crowd. Yeah.
And I don't want that. I like truth. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that's what people. I mean, honestly, that's what Destin did, right? He just went with his IGN crowd. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I guess you could say that. I think he believed it, though. To be honest, I think he.
Yeah, but he believed it based off of his feelings of his IGN peoples.
Yeah, probably skewed.
Yeah,
close. That's I can agree with that.
Okay, so Hadari Mac drops a $5 super chat and says, "What would your panel guess to be the most likely unrumored announcement for Xbox to make at the Game Awards?" I mean, it's going to be something that we don't know. That's my take on it. But we are going to specifically, Hadari Mac, if you want, I will bring your super chat forward to tomorrow night's primetime gaming. In fact, let me do a screen cap right now and just take that, because what I want to do is we're gonna be covering that specifically tomorrow on primetime gaming, because I wrote a whole topic on that, and we're gonna have obviously the primetime the crew should be there back in full. So thank you for the super chat, and again, we will answer that question for you specifically tomorrow evening. Bold Alpha Wolfpack drops a $20 super chat and says, "No law or policy trumps your constitutional rights. You can be critical of your peers and boss and still be a good employee, but when it's confronted with confronted with Stapleton's tweet, he said, 'That's my boss. Come on, he's a he says he's a snake oil salesman with no spine.'" I mean, Bold Alpha, again, absolutely entitled to your opinion. I think that when he opened himself up to the public, the Dan Stapleton tweet that I think that you're referring to is when Xbox said Xbox is the best place to play, and Dan Stapleton wrote Xbox is the worst place to play. I didn't understand. Maybe I got it out of context. I didn't see the whole thing. I mean, that's the head of.
He said it's the worst place to play Xbox games. So he was alluding to the fact that you're better off playing on a PC than playing Xbox games on an Xbox, because that is the worst place to play those games.
And that's ridiculous. Again, he's the reviews editor. Look. Here's the thing. I don't know Dan Stapleton. I don't know him personally. Some of his actions. This is how I look at him. I don't look at him as a fiend or a POS. What I look at Dan Stapleton as a bully. He is the guy. He is the kid holding the magnifying glass, burning the ants. That's how I see Dan Stapleton as a person. And he's shown those colors more times than not on social media. So if that's who he is, then that's who he is. That statement about the Xbox is the worst place to play Xbox, I think that's dumb. And personally, and I've said this before, the only way people like Dan Stapleton and IGN learn their place is when you punish them. And when Microsoft decides that their next big AAA release doesn't get an IGN first, maybe you can thank Dan Stapleton. I don't know if they're going to do that. If I was running Microsoft, if I was running, if I was somehow involved, I would be like, F them. They get nothing. They get absolutely nothing. We are not answering the phone. When they call, let it go to voicemail. We'll get back to you when we can.
Go Hollywood.
They wouldn't get a freaking thing, dude.
Have your people call my people.
Yeah. And I don't care how big of a conglomerate they are. Xbox doesn't need IGN. Easy. IGN needs Xbox. That is a fact. And that's how I would punish them. Oh, you're going to keep, because every time they do a disingenuous tweet, they are ultimately hurting the brand. Every time there is a negative IGN article, it is potentially pulling people away from your platform. They have to be accountable for that behavior. And how you are accountable for that behavior is by punishing them, and they don't get the exclusives. You know what? The same way you're going to hurt us, we're not going to give you the exclusive. You're just not getting it. That's
you know what IGN could probably benefit from, thinking about that. Maybe they would benefit from having like two takes on it. You know how like I forgot what magazine used to do that where
Electronic Gaming Monthly back in the day.
It was EGM Monthly.
Yep.
Yeah, it was a
do that
two-take thing. Yeah,
I remember that shit. Actually, Game Informer used to do it too. They used to have a second opinion. I think AGM had like 4 people. I think there was like one main dude and there was like 3 people's takes.
Okay, yeah. Maybe it might have been both. You're right, because I did read both. So have something like that where you have somebody who does that clickbaity, nonsensical, anti-Xbox stuff that they do, and have somebody who has a pro Xbox take. Maybe do something like that. I think that would help them.
That would require actual journalism, and I think that it would actually require time. And because the unfortunate part about the industry is it moves so fast that you're forgotten about after 5 minutes. And I think that the old school way of journalism back in the days where you had like EGM and Game Pro and Die Hard Game Fan and those thick magazines that when you looked at a page it was like wow, this is like unbelievable. Those don't exist anymore. So it's unfortunate that they don't. Soy 2 Mans or Mangs drops a very generous $2 super chat and says, I thought Umbra was an Xbox guy. Shaking my head. I think he's an Xbox guy. I think he's
probably an Xbox guy, dude. Thanks for the money. Though.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to side with him on that one.
You caught me.
I don't know, Umbra. You gave 8.5 to Starfield to 300 hours. I don't know.
Money been on my ass about it. He ain't let me forget that one.
No. 300 hours?
But look,
what are you playing for 8.5 for that long, man?
I think if anybody has any right to give that game a score, it's me. I put in over 300 hours into that game.
Hours, dude.
But it still had its shortcomings.
Yeah, I mean it's fine. It's fine. Listen, it is what it is. Raiden Blade drops a £5 super chat and says, Destin opened a can of worms that he shouldn't have. People are not thinking of the consequences of their actions. Destin should have stayed quiet. See, that I absolutely agree.
Facts.
Bold Alpha Wolfpack drops an additional very generous $5 super chat and says, facts. You don't get credit for falling on a sword, Destin. Laughing LMAO. Yeah, I mean it's
facts.
It's facts. It's true. I mean, listen, it is what it is. I put it to this way. I don't think he could have responded, but it's also, that Dan put himself out there many times, and he's been very disingenuous towards the Xbox community. But that's you know what? It's fine. He's fine. He doesn't give a shit about me, and I don't care so much about him, so it's fine.
I just want somebody to pull up the hot take that somebody at IGN had about PlayStation.
You haven't.
When somebody goes on Twitter to say that IGN is dying, look at the news that we just heard, right? That the rumor about they can't even afford to possibly make consoles. You'll never hear anybody come out and say that until it's 100% confirmed. Meanwhile, any rumor about Xbox, people say whatever they want, right? As long as it's degrading. All right. I ain't done with that crap.
I can agree with that. That's why we were talking about how I don't support a lot of these sites because of nonsensical things like that, behaviors like that. Specifically like the Kotakus, and sometimes I think Game Rant did some nonsense here.
Yeah, there's been quite a few. Yeah. Like as much as I love VGC and what they do over there, and that's one of my favorite sites to go to. They've done it as well. They all have, and they do it less than most, which is why I still am a fan of VGC. But yeah, they've done it as well.
Yeah,
we
VGC
have
is more respectable than some of the other ones. I would agree.
Freaking 1000%. Fantas Archer drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, problem that triggers our senses when it comes to media is that they're no longer respect. There's no longer respect for objectivity, and instead there are dictating narratives. And that's a strong point, dude. I agree there. I think that the gaming media is incredibly guilty of that, and that's why I don't pay a lot of them any attention anymore. BT Maverick drops a very generous $10 super chat and says, shout out to the guy from Chaos Lounge on YouTube on the YouTube channel that was one of Destin's call-ins. Had a lot of great points. Definitely recommend Boom to bring him on the show sometime. He makes great content. I'm going to check him out. So let me just write this down. Chaos.
Yeah, I heard him
Lounge.
mention you too during that.
Chaos. Okay.
I was behind the scenes hitting John Wolf up. He was like, because he mentioned him on the show. I'm like, hey, John Wolf, get up on there. Get in there. Get in there. Get in there. Next thing I know, I see him inside Discord. I'm like, there we go.
Oh, okay. So listen, I don't know if you guys can hang out. I want to read the super chats, and then we're going to get to the main topic of Call of Duty. If you guys want to just give your hot takes before you get out of here, I'll stay behind, and it'll just go a little bit longer. But listen, again, this is one of my favorite shows of the year. Like, everyone had great points. We all discussed it. We didn't all agree, but you know what? We're all friends. We're all still, mates, if you will. Bold out.
Some would say soulmates. No, I'm just playing. That's pause.
Bold Alpha Wolfpack drops an additional very generous $10 super chat and says, and that's why Matt Booty needs to put Sony under. It's the only way Xbox and the talented devs can get their fair shake. If Starfield didn't do it, nothing will. I mean, I will admit that, I've heard people, like even Destin, when he tried to say that Starfield was conjective, I'm like, I don't understand what how is that possible, considering it's doing so much. And again, I don't want to go down this path, but I'm going to say it. One of the biggest criticisms for Starfield, it was too much a Bethesda game, right? That's what a lot of the anti-Starfield rhetoric was about. And if that's what you want to go on, that is fine. But here's my take. Spider-Man 2, and I'm enjoying it, and I bought my plates for the PS5 finally freaking came in after months of waiting. I got it. I got the controller. I'm all in the bag. That game is the same game as 2018. It just has a different story, a different, Mary Jane is more lethal than ever, right? There's a few things, but it's literally the same game. And not one review that criticized it said, "Oh, it's the same as 2018. It's more Spider-Man."
Yep.
But you should have said that, because it is just more Spider-Man, and that's not a bad thing. Spider-Man's amazing, dude. No pun intended. But it's more Spider-Man.
Spectacular, even, huh?
Yeah, even spectacular.
But I agree with you there. My rating for Spider-Man was the same as Starfield. Ain't that right, C?
8.5. Starfield for me is a 9.5 out of 10, but for Spider-Man, 8.5 out of 10. And I stand by that.
I got close to giving it an 8, but I thought that was maybe unfair for Spider-Man. But I agree with you. Like, to the same issue the IGN had back then, where they were like, too much water,
too much
Zelda, like stuff like that. It's like, my thing for Starfield isn't because it's a Bethesda game. It's because of it kind of having outdated ways how they handle things that I think they should have improved on. That's my issue with that. But as far as a game that you enjoy, it's my game of the year. But Spider-Man had a lot of different issues that I don't think people called out. That Mary Jane stuff was nonsensical. They just overrode it because girl power and all that. But you could have used Black Cat for the same reason.
You could have, could have been.
Could have gave us Venom for more than one.
That's the thing. She's not even like that in the comics, dude. Like, I'm a Spider-Man stan.
Yeah, same.
And Mary Jane has just always been just Mary Jane. She's not a.
Why are you trying to make her into?
She's not a spy.
Superhero team. Yeah. Like I don't know. Like I didn't get that. I didn't get it. I didn't like it, and I think. The more you talk about it, the more people try to write you off as, oh, you're just an incel. It's like, okay, Black Cat, put her in there. No, not Black Cat, MJ. Like, it's a lot of nonsense like that, and people thinking it's you saying it only because it's a woman. No, I don't care. I'm all for women empowerment and all that. It's just it shouldn't. I'm a comic stan. Dan, you know what I'm talking about. I prefer things to kind of stay the way they are in the comic. I don't want you to deviate too far from the source. And that was a deviation for me. And then there was a lot of propaganda in the game too that I didn't care for.
It's ridiculous. Not even worthy of a conversation. That's for sure. So Bold Alpha Wolfpack drops an additional $2 super chat and says he's so in Daniel's eyes, Starfield wasn't snubbed. I don't.
No, it was snubbed.
Yeah, it was absolutely.
That's
snubbed.
not part of the conversation.
I don't think he equated to that at all. So, Starfield.
I don't think it was Destin who snubbed it. If that's what that's what we were talking about was Destin. So
I don't think Destin had it. I mean, I don't know whether he even voted, and I don't think he even made mention of it. I don't know who from IGN voted, and I think for the safety of the people, that information should never come forward. I've said this multiple times. The internet is a scary place, folks, and you know, people are.
But they should reveal the outlets votes. The outlets votes should be.
Oh,
revealed,
dude, they should say IGN got 6 votes, and you know, Metro got.
Well, no, I think what he's saying is I think that he's saying that C-Money is saying that they should say what the outlets voted for, because I think all the outlets get the same amount of like weight. I don't think it's weighted. Like I think Jeff Gerstmann gets the same amount as IGN, which is maybe bad, but it is what it is. But no, something I did want to point out about that, something I've recently learned, and why really the Game Awards, the award parts of them really could not possibly matter less, is it seems like every single person involved in giving out the awards doesn't care about it. Like they barely show it on the show, and then you
they
watch,
usually
like,
show about 4 of them.
They should,
like,
show like 4 or 5.
A lot of stuff is done behind the scenes.
You talk to developers, and it's like, do you care about the Game Awards? And they're like, kinda, but we're really more into like the BAFTAs or the DICE Awards. Those are the ones that are going to help me with my career. And then you like a lot of peers put out a video where she was talking about the Game Awards, and she's like, I don't know why people take this so seriously. This was like an end of day thing where we all just kind of like threw opinions into a pot. Like the people voting on it don't take it seriously. The people giving it out don't take it seriously, and the people who win it don't take it seriously. So I don't know why we do. Yeah. Honestly.
You know what? If what you are saying is in fact true, and I don't doubt it, that is the inherent problem, and that is why there needs to be a reset. You know, and whether that's at leadership or not, if what you're saying is an actual fact that no one really gives a flying shit, then that is a big problem, because ultimately they are to me that's being inherently disrespectful towards the people who actually make, because he would not have a Game Awards without the people watching. So I mean, you can have all the.
Well, to be fair, the people who are watching aren't watching for the awards either. They're watching for the announcements.
I mean, I kind of am. I'm not going to sit here and say that I just.
And even that they're lowering down. What's this world? No more world premieres and shit like that. What are we talking about?
He should probably clarify whether that means he's just taking out the world premiere branding, or whether that means that there's no world premieres.
I think ultimately that's what.
Yeah, like be clear, but that just sounds like.
Yeah, it's not.
It's whatever they're going to show is not worthy of the world premiere brand anymore.
Yeah, it's possible. So Black Ronin 357 drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, humans come together around teams and individuals. It's called tribalism. Indeed it is. Raiden Blade drops a £2 super chat and says, in every sport or gaming you support, it's called we. I say we, and I'm like about the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I'm like, that's dumb, because they don't even know who the hell I am. You know what I'm saying? So it's I laugh at myself.
I understand that a lot of these next super chats are going to be specifically getting on to me for saying Xbox isn't a sports team, which it's not, and I will die on that hill. Fight me. But also, it is that thing of like, if you're talking about your sports team and you're like we, you're Drake. You're Drake, who he's in the locker room, and everyone's like, Blood thinks he's on the team. He's not on the team. I'm sorry. You're allowed to like
that's the thing about being a fan of sports. You know what I'm saying? I mean, like when you say we, it's because you're vested in that team. You're vested. Yeah, you buy their merchandise. You spend the time watching the game.
You fully embrace the fanatic part.
Yeah. Of so I understand
which
it.
Is not, which is not a bad thing. It shouldn't be a fanatic in a slanderous thing, because people are passionate about something.
Well, it doesn't have to be. Some people,
no, it absolutely doesn't have to be. Again,
I mean, if they're out there smashing car windows and spray painting the car, their sports team, like, screw you, I know you don't like my team.
Is it
that's
like
a fanatic. That's a crazy person.
Is it LA or whatever? Where like, oh god, what is it? It's like, if we win, we're gonna riot. If we lose, we're gonna riot. Which team is that? There's one.
We've done it here in Chicago plenty of times.
Yeah.
They have, in fact. Yeah.
It's like, if you're one of those people, chill.
I may or may not have partaken in some of that.
Good grief!
It's not going to
look at partaking in fanaticism. Oh man!
Let me just read these last 3 super chats, and then we'll get into the topic. And like I said, if you guys got to bounce, by all means, I'll hang back with because we still have like 550 people here. Everborn Soccer, hey Everborn, he drops a ridiculous $20 super chat, and he says, I don't agree with Daniel. Being a fan of a brand is exactly like being a sports fan. None of us are on these teams, and normal people pick a side with a brand all the time. Mac, PC, iOS, Android, BMW, Benz, Marvel, DC. Yeah, and see, and again, I'm on.
Well, here, let me defend my point on this then.
Yeah.
First of all those things for Everborn. First of all, I love you, and you can 100% disagree with me all you want. It's not going to change the fact that I love you. Second of all those things you listed are for sure not sports teams, right? Like Marvel, DC, all that stuff. Like that's not a sports team. I think the difference for me, and you can, we'll probably disagree, is that sports is inherently a competitive thing. It's surfaced as a competitive thing. It's literally person versus person every single time that you go and you watch a game. We make these other things competitive. You know what I mean? Like iPhone, Apple, or iPhone and Android, that's not a competitive thing. We just pretend it is. And we're like, oh, they're selling more phones than the other guys. And it's like, it doesn't really, like, that's nothing, right? It's not actually a competitive thing. They're competing in business. They're not competing in a sport or a game. You know what I mean? And so I think that's inherently different, where it's like, you're rooting for the success of a business versus the success of a team of players. You know what I mean?
I would argue that the sports team is also they're competing in business, right? Because the better teams get more views, they get more
but that's
ticket
secondary.
sales. So
that's like
no, it's the only thing. They use the sport team to make the money, right? Back in the day, maybe that might have been the case, but today's world, that sports team is just a business from another side,
right?
That's
here's
all.
the difference: is
all
sports fans are out there arguing about, like, when they're getting into things, they're like, oh, we got this many points and you got that many points. When console warriors are out there fighting, they're like, you had this many in sales and we had that many in sales, and that's not the same thing.
I mean, listen, I think it's their version of it, right?
In the numbers aspect, it's not, but ultimately, it kind of is, because it
really is. Like, I don't think the argument that you're holding is as clear cut as you think it is. I think everybody on any of those places that do prefer PC over Mac, and they talk about it and they spend energy doing that. Android, iOS. I mean, you guys don't like Apple.
The part of everyone's thing that I 100% agree with is when he calls me out for saying normal people. I shouldn't have said that. I agree with that 100%. That was a bridge too far for me. I think I was just like in the moment.
Sometimes
that's fine.
So,
dude.
Like, that wasn't a thing I should have said.
You're not being disrespectful.
I still
trying to be a prick.
You're
just in the moment. Yeah. That's fine. No, that's fine. It's all right. Roshan Impenger drops a very generous $5 super chat, and he says this: if Destin can't comment on another team's actions, how can he comment on those actions how can he comment that those actions aren't biased? You know, one of the things that I thought was a really poor take from Destin is when he said that he agreed that he commented on Call of Duty single player and he hasn't played that. See, to me, that's bad.
Well, then when
I can say that I put 26 hours into it. As a matter of fact, I told the story yesterday. I spent 3 days hunting that 90-point achievement to find every weapon on every board. It broke my balls, but you know something? I had an effing blast doing it. I played each one of those boards, I think 4 times each in the single player that everyone hates. I absolutely adored.
Now, for me, don't give credit there. To your point, that's another thing I didn't agree with what Destin was saying, and not that he didn't play the game.
Okay, but as we talk more and more about it, and more points that we don't agree with build up,
maybe ultimately it's a bad take.
That's why I think mine is more nuanced. I'm not like writing him off on anything and saying that he should never spoke. I disagree with that point. However, I do acknowledge that he was dismissive. I do acknowledge he said some things I absolutely disagree with most of what he said. But I don't believe he's trying to be anti-expert. I think he's one of us. He's just in a different position, in a place he can't fully be one of us, if you get what I'm trying to say. But my thing is to that on the Call of Duty thing that I had an issue with was that, as somebody pointed out, one of the callers was, not only did you not play it, so how can you say that, but the fact that you were defending them, the IGN giving it a 4. We've talked about this already on the show, Boom, where we were like, how can you justify a 4 for a game that's not
Gollum got a 4, folks,
because he's on the team.
See, and that's why
he's on the team,
and that's where I say
he rides or dies for his team. You know what I'm saying?
You know what it is though, too. See, I think a lot of people who are in the positions of, I guess, trying to get along sometimes, I think they kind of say, well, that's just that one person's opinion, blah blah blah. But my thinking is, you cannot, in my opinion, you got another thing coming your way, Danny. I see everyone just chatting again, but I think you cannot write that off and say, well, they just gave it a 4 when you have other comparable games that are broken at a 4, and they are at a 4 for a reason. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 is not broken. I've played it as well, but not as much
anyway
yet.
And
the multiplayer is good. Most of the players are saying this verbally. And the campaign, from what I've played, has been solid. Now it's a half effort. We can acknowledge that because
it is a half effort. That's why I gave it an 8 out of 10.
Clearly, it was DLC that was extended to whatever, right? We can acknowledge that. But a 4, no, that right there is where it becomes like ridiculous.
So,
and that's where I had an issue with him just like accepting that the 4 was okay. No, that should have been called out, but he wouldn't do that.
No,
because it's one of his colleagues at IGN.
Yeah, exactly.
That's where he was put into a position of where he had to play for home team. That's where I agree with you on that point. That's what I was saying earlier.
Yeah, no, and it's a good point. It's like I said, and C-Money's right. The more we kind of sit and break it down, the more it does point to Destin really kind of stepping in it. That there's just no doubt about it.
One way is just clear, concise, and this is just what it is. The other way is like, oh, everything's good, but this is the problem. It's like,
he's just in a tough position.
We should put it all together as what it is.
He's just in a tough position where if he opens his mouth but he's in the position he's in and he doesn't say,
but he stepped in that position himself.
He did.
You know that's why I say like nobody told him to make that video. Like,
nope. But that's why I give.
Oh no, he thought he was gonna. I mean, you don't really know the motivation.
Scary.
I know he said. Yeah, I know the motivation for him. What he said is that I wanted to address this, but he didn't address it. He was dismissive. He was very one-pointed, and like I said, ultimately he lost a lot of credibility in the Xbox community. He has, people embraced him even though he was a part of IGN. Which I'll tell you this right now, I don't like IGN. I don't like them at all because I know what they're about, and I don't subscribe to them because of it. With that said, people still accepted him because he did his own thing, and for the most part, he has done a lot of really good Xbox coverage. He hurt his brand yesterday very badly.
I think he hurt himself for sure, but yeah. I do like Danny was saying. I agree that. I don't agree with the thought that he shouldn't have said anything. I like that he would be willing to go out there and have people come up there and talk. That to me is what you should do as being somewhat of an ambassador to me because of the position he's in to Xbox. You should be willing to talk to us as a community. He did the right thing there. I just think that his thought process was skewed because of the proximity to the people at IGN. I don't think he can fully be all the way fair. But then again, I think that he also did believe what he believed, but it's probably because of his proximity. You see what I'm saying? So it's a double-edged sword for him.
Yeah, he's blinded by the light, so to speak. Yeah,
he said Dan is his friend when Dan is the enemy. Dan is his friend when Dan is the enemy.
Yeah. That's don't.
He
should have never said that.
Stapleton.
No, Dan, yeah, absolutely. So the
unless you are friends with Dan with Dustin, I don't know. Maybe you know him personally.
Jagger 0718.
And then they'll explain you like it
here. You all. So I gave a little something, but Jagger, if you want me to sing, you got to donate something to the cause, man. You got to donate something to Boom here.
Well, actually, what you should do, dude, is you should show up on Thursday to the Fix because I'm going to be there as a guest, and we're potentially going to continue this conversation.
Way of saying don't have him sing on here. I ain't got time for that. That's what he was.
No, we have plenty of time. Hitman Official drops a very generous $5 and says, question in the Spanish community. They've been saying that State of Decay scope is massive, and now Xbox's most expensive game ever. Have you guys heard? I've heard rumblings of it being 4 times as big as the original. I'm gonna investigate it some more because no one wants a new State of Decay than me. I put 60 hours into 2. Again, I secretly want like a strong single player story driven.
Man, when they showed that video, the announced video of 3,
dude, I want to play as her.
Alone.
I want to play as her. That character that was screaming at that zombie deer. I want to know who she is. I want to play as that character. So hopefully, we can get a Days Gone type of world for a single player story driven event and still maintain the multiplayer. See, that's the one thing that Xbox does really good. They can give you both. You get it with Gears, you get it with Halo, you get it with Forza, you get it. You're gonna now get it with Sea of Thieves when they drop the single player free DLC. So there's a lot. They do it right, and I'd love to see that kind of mentality come to something like State of Decay. Keep that that story, the multiplayer that everyone knows and loves, that survival-esque. But for people like me who don't really live in that world and don't have the time, I would like to, live in that world as a single player. That's my take on it. We have, let's see, Bold Alpha Wolfpack drops an additional $5 super chat and says, could Xbox Game Studios be looked at as a team by an extension? Okay. Could Xbox Game Studios be looked at as a team? And by extension, the consumers that buy the product that support said team, Daniel MC. I mean, I think that's a question to Daniel regarding the team aspect of it, meaning the whole we thing. I consider myself part of Xbox, even though I'm not part of Xbox. I know I mean, they have acknowledged the channel, which is freaking pretty awesome. But I know I'm not a part of Microsoft Corporation. I know I'm a part of Team Xbox. That's what I'm a part of. Everborn Saga drops an additional $2 super chat and says, sports fans do argue about contracts and draft budgets. They absolutely do. And lastly, John Wolf, the scandalous one, we love John, he drops a $5 super chat and he says Xbox tax is easy to understand. Xbox One generation energy still being carried over by biased media and content creators. Stop it. This is a new gen. And I agree. I think that they are hanging on to the Xbox has no games era and trying to equate that to what this era is. And it's apples and pineapples. They have the same word in their spelling, but they're two different fruits. That's just my take. But listen, okay. Sorry, this is one of those shows, folks, that you listen to and you either love it and you're like, well, this was a great conversation, or Boom didn't follow the pattern of what I sold as a Call of Duty conversation, which we're going to have now. And quickly, there was a story written by Jez Corden of Windows Central. He's a great friend of the community, great friend of this channel personally. And we have learned, due to his breaking story, and we kind of knew this already, that the next Call of Duty is in fact going to be Black Ops. It is going to be Black Ops, the Gulf War, right? We know that it's a fact. The question that I have for the panel, and one of the things that we learned is that right now, we know that they usually go every other year. This is the longest Call of Duty in development, I think, ever. It's 4 years in development. This game is going to hit, and it's going to hit in all the ways that, well, Modern Warfare 3 didn't hit for a lot of people, especially in the single player. As a matter of fact, I would dare say that one of the most popular Call of Duties is probably Black Ops 1 and 2. Like, I'm not just talking about multiplayer. I'm talking about the single player was ridiculously good. And this is obviously, it would be considered Black Ops 6. Is that in the number, according to the story from Jez Corden? But it's called Black Ops. At least the rumor is that it's going to be in the Gulf War. There are two questions. And I'll start with C-Money on this. Is this the first Call of Duty to drop into Xbox Game Pass? And do you think this is going to be one of those games that completely turn it around for Call of Duty based on some of the controversy out of Modern Warfare 3?
So I think it'll be the first new release to go day and date, but I think they're going to put in some more Call of Duties into Game Pass.
Oh no, I'm just saying, like, in regards to new releases day and
date. Yeah, new release day. Oh yeah, it's going to be in there for sure. It'll be in there. And yeah, this is going to be the first. I mean, let's put it this way. This will be the first one where Xbox owning them is going to have an impact, right? Yeah. It's going to be the last year, which most of the developers and stuff say is like most crucial time, right? That's where everything comes together. So with that funding, with the budget, with their know-how and their ability to get more people involved as they need to, I think that we're going to see a really, really big a really big boom to this game. I think Call of Duty is going to may have a big impact when you see it next. Also, it's just going to hit different being first party. But I mean, I think when you think of like the campaign and what they're going to do there, we all know Black Ops is always one of the best campaigns that they have. So Gulf War, that's a pretty old time period in my head to have a game. And we're going to see, man. But I think that last year is going to be this, being that we still have that one more year. Now they're under Xbox with the funding and everything. I feel like they're gonna make some waves when it releases. I think it's gonna be pretty dope. I'm excited for it.
Well, I'm going to say this. If there was ever one game to move mountains of fans from PlayStation to Xbox, not saying that people are going to be throwing their PS5s into the streets or selling them in droves. I think that when you consider money, because listen, you have an amazing family, right? You put it out there every week. You have 6 kids. You have a business. Money is an actual effing thing. Like you got to pay the mortgage. You got to pay the rent. You know, you got your refrigerator go, right? Remember that, out of completely nowhere. These are things that are unexpected. Something like Game Pass is not fully embraced. And I say this especially by the media, because when you put yourself in, let's talk real life for a second. We don't know what the economy is going to be next year. It could be potentially worse than it is in 2023, right? Nobody wants to admit there is a recession. There is a recession, even though they're not calling it that. So for $16.99 a month, you are, and me and Umbra and Danny and everybody in the chat right now, we're going to be getting the brand new hotness in Black Ops Gulf War in your subscription service for $17 a month, unless you're like me, paid up until 6/16/26, right? And of course, you know, when you get another Black Friday or you get a cyber whatever, you go and you buy some more cards and you keep stacking them. Someone on PlayStation is going to look at this and say, "Are you? I got to pay $76.43 here in New York to get this game. I don't know if I want to play on PlayStation because some of my friends are starting to move over and it's cross-play. So you know what? I think I'm going to go to Xbox because my money's going to go further." And I think that this is going to be, this is one of those teachable moments or F around and find out moments that Sony is going to learn. That's what I think is going to happen. I think it's the F around and find out. Yeah,
100%. This is going to be the first, like this first year is going to be, I don't think this first year is going to be super crazy in how many people come over because, you know, casual people don't follow up with this stuff too much. So they'll catch it eventually, right? So as time goes on, it'll be more and more ingrained. But for sure, this past year, like this Call of Duty that just came out, that's the best that PlayStation's ever going to sell it. After that, it'll eventually start to dwindle down because people will start to move. People will start to see that it's not worth going ahead and, you know, spending $70 there. Unless, I mean, the only people I can see not moving are the people who literally, that's the only thing they play. So they play one Call of Duty game a year and that's it. Then there's no point of them moving. But outside of that, it's going to be a shift. We're going to see it as the marketing, especially, oh my God, when that game starts being close to coming out and you see the marketing for it and it's splattered everywhere, day one on Game Pass, play free on Game Pass, or however you want, however they're going to phrase it. When that stuff gets put everywhere,
it's going to be ridiculous.
It's going to be ridiculous. It's going to be ridiculous. The conversation that the casuals are going to be having that they weren't able to have before is, you're telling me if I get Game Pass, I get Call of Duty, right? Like that's a huge,
and dude, just think about it. If next year, see money, they have Call of Duty, they got Avowed, you get Hellblade, you get Clockwork Revolution, you get Towerborn, you get Stalker 2, you get it's sick for 2024. Yep. So I was reading something that John Wolf just sent me, and it's something that why? Oh my God, why? I'm going to read this, folks. Don't get triggered. You're going to get triggered. I shouldn't even say don't get triggered. You're going to get triggered.
There's always the thing you tell us not to do. Like
yeah, well, hey, he says, John Wolf banging the drum as he said, "What Xbox tax with a question mark?" And Ryan McCaffrey just tweeted this because he has me blocked. because I wasn't disrespectful. I just called him out on something. He blocked me, and I'm not even angry. It's fine. I used to be a huge fan of Ryan until he shifted. And he says this, folks. This is going to be a topic, and I think he was trying to be funny, but based on what's happening with IGN, it's out of context, and it's not reading the room. He says this. Well then, this email I just got from Microsoft would seem to confirm that Xbox will have stuff to show at the Game Awards this year. Glad I won't have to write another column about how baffled and annoyed I am at them not showing up at this event with a face sticking out the tongue. So what will they show with an emoji of them thinking? It's again, is it the crime of the century? It is not. You know, I'm taking it. He's potentially trying to be playful. I don't know if people are going to look at it that way, but it's out there in the ether, folks. It is what it is. I would imagine that he's going to get a lot of real negative takes. Oh, you know what that does for me as a content creator? Make tomorrow night's primetime game even more exciting for me as a host, because we're going to have a shit ton to talk about. So thank you, Ryan McCaffrey, for confirming that Xbox will in fact have something there. So Umbra, let's get to you. And again, I apologize, gentlemen, for the longness of the show. I didn't mean it to be this long, but
no, it was a good discussion. I love it.
What are your takes on this? Because I think C Money kind of really knocked it out of the park. I think that like we saw many, and again, this is where the bias comes from.
Yeah, no. As far
Destin
as
seems to think, Umbra, that when there's no bias against the reviews against Call of Duty or some of the commentary, like we should move on from Call of Duty.
Yeah,
and I disagree. I disagree with him on that. I think that there are a lot of people very, very upset in the gaming's media that Microsoft owns Call of Duty. If it was Sony, they'd be cheering it. If it's Microsoft, they're booing it.
And they could tell us that we're delusional to think that, but I believe what you just said.
I believe it as well.
Yeah, my thing is that I think it's easy to dismiss that, and reasonably so, because it does sound conspiratorial, right? But we have been in this community for a long time. We know what it is. We have, much like C was talking about earlier, been down with Xbox since 2001. So, and we've seen how things have, the ebb and flow of things have us going up and down, during the 360 era. Clearly it was more positive, but Xbox did a lot of right things then. But during that Xbox One gen, man, I tell you, that turned things around in a real bad way for Xbox. And I think that's carried over. I think a lot of people have, their feelings on the acquisitions, and they take that and put into place of how they view things. That's where I talk about what the unconscious bias, I think, comes into play as far as things go. I don't think all of this is just a genuine feeling, because again, I don't think you can come to a real, like, genuine take to say, yeah, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 is a 4 out of 10. I just don't think you can do that if the game is not broken. I think you cannot come to a 4 out of 10 in any fair way when the game is not in fact broken. 4 out of 10 to me is, you may as well just say it's a 2 out of 10 to me, because I don't want to play that if that's what I'm hearing and only relying on that. Luckily, I don't rely on what they say. But again, we can see the tides, we can see what was being said. We can look at that and say, hey, I don't like that you're handling this that way, which is what we do and what we will do. And that's where it becomes unfair, and it clearly points to a negativity and a bias. I think I do believe that the more negative headlines of jumping to, we need to move past Call of Duty, I think that is indefinitely, in fact, because Microsoft owns them. They won't admit that, but I definitely believe that is the case. As far as the main question of Call of Duty next year, how did you frame that, Boom? I think it was
well, I mean, is it like, for instance, the fact of the matter is, will it be the first Call of Duty game to be dropped in the Game Pass? And what's the impact on that? Because I think the impact is just,
the impact is going to be big when it finally hits. They're going to have marketing, which is still going to be pretty big for it. I don't think it'll land into Game Pass next year. Part of the reason is because I said this before on the show, because Microsoft knows good and well is going to make a mint. And it being Treyarch back at the helm, people love Treyarch. From what I understand, most Call of Duty fans love Treyarch more than they do Sledgehammer, for instance. 4 years in development, being one of the first to ever have a 4-year cycle. That means it's likely to have less cut content. You know, I know one of the complaints for this essential DLC, which was Modern Warfare 3, was that it was, you know, it was essentially supposed to be that, and it was cut content from Modern Warfare 2. So I think that means that we won't have cut content for Black Ops, and also I think it's going to be, you know, it'll have more. What's the word I want to use? It'll be more refined, I guess, right? So because they're going to have all their support studios on it, helping them get this all the way in tip-top shape. And I think also because they're going to try to rebound. And I know a lot of people probably think they're just churning out Call of Duty games, so they don't really care if it's going to turn out like this. I don't agree with that. I think these devs care, and I think somebody like Treyarch particularly cares. So I think they're going to turn out one of the best they've ever put out because of that. It's the same way I feel about Arcane doing what they did and the misstep they made with Redfall. I think they're going to rebound off that heavily with the next game they put out. Microsoft hasn't given up on it from what we already know. They were already, you know, behind the scenes talking about getting a budget for another game. Yep. So I think Phil and team is going to give them that second chance, if you will, while under them at least, to say, hey, this is why we deserve a budget. This is why we deserve to be more than just, I don't know, a support studio or something like that now, right? This is why we deserve to be here, not let go or, you know, have people cut or whatever you will.
Yeah, laid off, if you
laid
will.
off. Yeah, and I was trying to think of another word for it, but I could not think of it to save my life. But
well, you're tired. You also worked at midnight, so
true. But I think this is going to be a really great game. It's going to have 4 years, like we talk about. It doesn't necessarily guarantee it, but we, you know, like I said, more time into with capable developers like Treyarch, you're likely 9 times out of 10 are going to get a great game. So I think it's a win for all of the Call of Duty fans. I'm not the biggest Call of Duty fan. You know, somebody was asking me my thoughts. I think it was Sean Johnson in the chat. He asked, what did I give Modern Warfare 3 right now? Right now, I say a 7 just because of what I've enjoyed with the single player campaign, zombies mode, which was my first time ever playing it, believe it or not, with my boy Vinny the other day last week. And, you know, some of the multiplayer I played with Pete and Holly and everybody. So that I've enjoyed a lot. And I think if I'm the person who's more attuned to Halo, and I come in and I'm enjoying what I enjoyed, and I played previous Call of Duty campaigns, I can say comfortably, this is okay. It's not the greatest I've ever played, but it's pretty solid. You know what I mean? I think they did a decent job, decent enough for it not to be a dang 4. So I think, you know, just going off that, I think they're going to rebound off that to try to kind of get things back aligned with their previous review scores. I think some of the review scores were in the 8s and 9s and stuff like that, right? So I think I think this is going to land at somewhere in an 8 or a 9 next year, personally. But the question is, will it hit Game Pass? That's tough. I think
it does, man. I think it does.
It's a major W. It's a major W if they do. I don't know how that guy let you get him when he had a whole sword to launch at you.
Yeah,
but I was looking at that like a man, like how you let him. Anyway, that said, no, I think if it lands in Game Pass, that is by far a major W. No question.
It is going to be.
Yeah.
The reason why I think it's going to be in Game Pass is because it's one of those games that sell you on a service.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna you know, us Xbox gamers, we know because we know, right? If you're not an Xbox gamer and you are a Call of Duty fan, there's going to come a point where you're going to come across somebody at work, whether it be at the water cooler, in the bathroom, you know, making a copy down the whatever. And you're like, yo, man, you believe I just got Call of Duty for free? What? What do you mean you got Call of Duty for free? Yeah, it was in this service, Game Pass.
Yeah. I know some people I know I actually had somebody get ticked off with me and block me eventually because I said,
because you said it was free.
I'm getting these games for free. They're like, you're not getting it for free. You're paying. I'm like, man, you get what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
no, because you said it's free. He was real mad. I'm like, stay mad because it's not the damn serious one. 2, I'm essentially getting these games free. I'm paying this minimal service price, and I'm getting all of these games. You can argue with the semantics of it however you want. I don't really care. It feels like it's free, so I'm going to call it free. Yeah. His mama called him Clay. I'm gonna call him Clay. No, I'm sorry.
Listen,
anyway,
do you call Clay whoever you want?
That's right. But no, but I will say if it hits Game Pass, 2024 is solidified as a major W. It's already.
It's going to be. It might go down as the best year in Xbox history.
There will be one of those when it comes to competition for it. Absolutely, but all we have coming already, and that. So I don't know. I feel like though Microsoft is going to try to capitalize. That's my honest to God feeling is they're going to say, oh, this is the last one that'll be, without outside of the service before whatever, because of whatever they'll come up with some nonsense to have to charge people because again, it's a mint that they would be missing out on to bring it right.
They're still going to make that mint from Steam, and they're still going to make that mint from PlayStation.
PlayStation, yep.
And again, I know we're not business. No one here has a business degree. At least I certainly don't.
Mm-hmm.
But the reason why they could do that is because of something like a Call of Duty Modern Warfare Warzone on mobile. They're going to be making so much money off that just one game.
Oh yeah,
that they're going to be able to offset any potential loss.
That's
because remember, they don't want to sell you the game; they want to sell you the service.
True.
And this game will sell services by the boatload.
Yep.
But Danny, let's get your hot take on this, man, and then we'll get everyone out of here. It's already 2:30. I mean, do you agree or disagree with that? This is the first Call of Duty to drop in Game Pass, and what are your thoughts on the first Call of Duty that has a 4-year dev cycle? That is huge, dude.
That one's a big one. I'm okay. So I think the fact that it has such a long dev cycle means two things. Number one, it's going to be really good. Like they're probably going to have a lot of content,
and it's Treyarch too.
It's going to be probably a pretty big one. And I also think that may imply that they're going to leave a longer tail on it because we know that before Activision was even acquired, they were already talking about going biannual on the Call of Duty titles, and so I think this might be the start of that. It would explain why they put so much more dev time into it. Although. Honestly, the amount of dev time they put in on Modern Warfare 3 was apparently really, really lacking. So maybe it was also just a course correction from that. Maybe, I don't know. I guess that wouldn't really make sense timetable wise, but whatever. Will it be the first one to go day and date in Game Pass? I don't know. I'm going to say yes. Just like if I have to go yes or no for sure, I'm going to say yes. But it really is going to come down to like if it was in the works for 4 years, then they may have already signed contracts, and it's like, is Microsoft going to break those contracts? Maybe. I probably would, but will they? I don't know. We'll have to see. I think this is going to be sort of a testing ground, right? And I think the fact that it has a 4-year dev cycle is a good sign for Microsoft on this one, because I think this is going to be the first one that's like actually really viewed as like this one was made under Xbox, even though of course 3 years of it, the majority of it was not actually under them. But I think there's going to be a lot of that sentiment of like, this is the first one that's going to be fully released under them, whether they put it on Game Pass day one or not. And so I think they have a very big vested interest to make sure that this is the best Call of Duty they can make it. And so I guess we'll have to wait and see. I know that the Modern Warfare 3 was pretty mixed in its reviews. A lot of people were really disappointed with the way the campaign came together, which we know why that was, because they said it was like 18 months or something that they worked on it. And they can't do that again. I mean, Call of Duty is going to sell regardless. It's not like, oh, they're going to go out of business or anything if they put out another mediocre Call of Duty or whatever. But it is the 100% a thing of like, we don't want to set a trend of that. You know what I mean? Like, we want to get this thing back on course. So I think that they're 100% going to do that, and I'm excited to see what it means going forward.
Yeah, and I agree. Like I said, this is because they have so much in the works, and like I said, ultimately they want to sell us the service. They want the whole point of you subscribing, and I mean you, Daniel. I mean like us subscribing to your Netflix or your Disney Plus or your Paramount Plus or your Peacock or whatever it is that you find enjoyment in watching. You won't continue to subscribe if the content is not bombastic and doesn't keep bringing you back. And that's what this is one of those pieces of content that if is in everyone that is anyone, whether you are a noob, a diehard, a fanatic, everyone is going to be talking about Call of Duty dropping into Xbox Game Pass. And I'll say this, God forbid if it's great. God forbid if Treyarch hits a freaking grand slam and it's the greatest thing since sliced bread. They're going to throw it in there because they're going to want to sell you the service. which they're going to do because it's going to be too good not to join. And this is where you get you again. I'm not saying everyone's running away from PlayStation, but you're going to see a massive migration, or you're going to see a more even keeled people in the the fans actually supporting more than just one platform. So we'll see. But look, one last super chat. Oh, actually, two. G Mania 1 drops a $5 super chat and says, if Microsoft just kept Game Pass and their games on Xbox consoles, do you think they would be at a point to outsell PlayStation 5? No. They have to, monetarily wise, it makes no sense to keep it only on console when PC is bigger than all three platforms together. So they have to keep it on PC. And they ultimately, the mistake that Sony is making right now is not releasing day and date for PC, and that's why they're hurt. That's why, if the stories are true, they might be bankrupt. Because if Spider-Man 2 released day one on PlayStation 5 and on PC, they would have sold instead of 5 million copies, they would have sold 10. And they're literally leaving money. But that is why Jim Ryan is fired, because their leadership just is in a tailspin and they don't know what they're doing. They don't know. They're half in and half out. They want to be first party single player story driven games. They want to be gas games, but they kind of dip their toe in, and the people don't like it. And now they got to go back. And Factions is gone because Bungie says so. It's crazy. It's crazy.
They don't even want to do the games. They don't even want to do the single player games. They just know that they have to because that's what their PlayStation fans want. But Sony doesn't want to make that crap. There's no money in that for them. They don't sell enough.
They want games as a service for a consistent revenue. That's what they want. And that's why, see money, you'll never get day and date games for their first party. That'll never happen.
They can't afford it. They cannot
afford it. Yeah, absolutely.
That's why we're built different.
Yeah,
that's why we're built different. We can afford it. They can't. That's why it's funny when you hear the people who rah-rah them so much. It's like, bro, making games, we can make any type of game we want. That's easy. What Sony can't do is make money appear. They can't do that. We can go and make Last of Us type games. We could make God of War type games. They don't have the only things in the world.
The hashtag just runs. They're on the way. They're on the way.
We can have everything that we can possibly want to have as far as different styles of games.
Well, that's the difference. Yeah, every genre is represented, and now the Killer Instinct is back. That's another genre that's represented.
Oh yeah, baby.
And a gas game on top of that, which is just amazing. Last super chat of the day comes away with Adidas 20, and he says this after dropping a 10 spot. Get your popcorn, drinks, and controllers ready. Xbox 2024 is going to be spectacular. Boom and panel, be ready. Oh, we are already ready, but let's get everyone out of here. See money, sell the brand. You and the missus.
Start with somebody else. I just got another call. Sorry.
Okay. So we'll start with Daniel. Daniel, sell your brand, brother. Tell everyone where they can subscribe to your YouTube channel, which, in my opinion, is one of the best places for some of the best short and long content together. If you are a fan of, let's say, comic book movies like the DCEU, which he is currently rewriting as we speak, and of course, you can find him one half of the dynamic duo known as The Fix on Thursday, which I will be a guest this Thursday. Talk about it, man. Sell the brands.
So you can find me on Twitter at Daniel J. McG, or at my YouTube channel of Daniel McG. We put up a decent amount of content lately. I'm actually set to record something about AI and video games tomorrow with a friend of the show, Agent Deli. Hopefully, assuming everything goes well, we can get that up in the next day or two. So I'm really looking forward to that. I think it's a big, important conversation that's gonna be probably a big talking point for most of 2024, if I had to guess. So I wanted to get in on that. Also, I'm continuing to rewrite the DCU. I'm damn close to finishing my movie, the Batman Black Mask. I've been working on it for so long. I looked it up. I haven't put out a new episode of my DCU rewrite since January. That's how long I've been working on this one. And I have really been working on it pretty consistently since then. It's been a lot of just like getting very much too much in the weeds on just every very small little detail that doesn't even matter.
Well, that's what makes a good movie, dude. Maybe James Gunn reaches out and says, I want to see the script.
So you can find me at any of those places, or of course on The Fix every Thursday. But I will let Umbra talk about that.
Yes, absolutely. Real quick, Bold Alpha Wolfpack, another outstanding $10 super chat and says Call of Duty sells more PlayStation consoles than all of Sony's exclusives combined. I think Phil should do some type of exclusive content for Call of Duty on Xbox and PC. Start dealing fatal blows.
It'd be nice, but Phil has already commented saying he wouldn't do it.
I don't think there will be exclusive content, but I will tell you this. I will tell you this, Bold Alpha Wolfpack. The exclusive content is for $17 a month. You're getting Call of Duty and all the bells and whistles for your service, and PlayStation players, which will still buy it for $76.43. And if not that version, the $119 version. So PlayStation players are going to literally pay for the next acquisition. Put that in your pipe and smoke it, PlayStation players.
I know they don't like that.
They don't like it, but that's the truth. Let's sell your brand, brother. Talk about the fix, where I'm going to be a guest this Thursday.
Yes.
Where they can people subscribe, continue the growth of the channel, and more importantly, reach out to you on social media.
Yes. So as far as following me on social media, if you guys aren't already, of course, Infinite
Shame
Umbra.
on you if you're not.
Yes, shame. Infinite Umbra or Umbra Infinite. If you all are not following me, you will find me there on Twitter X. And this week, we got Boom, and we also have our good brother Spooky Sprocket.
Spooky Sprocket. Good dude, man. He's a really good community member. Yeah.
Yes. I want to have us find a really contentious, debate-worthy topic to get on, though. But I need some argument.
I mean, I just dropped one in your lap. I'll drop it into the DM. I mean, I think Ryan might have opened Pandora's box with that tweet, which is not good, but it's going to be the talk of the town.
We'll talk on it. We'll find something contentious. All us argue. I want us to argue. Seriously, it's going to be a good show, guys. So, for the chat, man, you guys were lively today.
Great chat.
Some of you were trying to shun us, though. I don't like that. Don't shun us away. We one of you guys, all right? So I saw it.
We are definitely one of you guys.
Yeah,
one of us.
One of us. Exactly. Don't turn against us now. We all have. I want to say this. Shout out to the chat. You guys were very lively and funny today, and I think for the most part, I get where you guys are coming from, and I know that when you have very strongly opinionated people, we tend to gravitate towards that. And sometimes, though, we as fans kind of go too far. So I want us to kind of make sure we don't turn against each other.
Right. We're family. We may never meet in real life, but we are a family. Xbox is a family.
Absolutely. I might meet some of you all here, though. Some of you all in Chicago. So, like Sith Lord. Shout out to Sith Lord. And all love to all of you guys. It's opinions. You know what I mean? It's not the end of the world. If we feel a way about something, and you feel a different way, that's fine. You know what I mean? If it has to be righteous smoke given out, as Kay Asante would say, give it out. But keep in mind that we all want what's best for the home team. And I hate to go back to that whole thing of the tribalism part, but it's our home team of Xbox. Right. But we all want the best thing because we know that he said who is us? There isn't a team, though. Well, Roshan, there is a me in team, and I want me to do great. Now, so no, seriously, no, seriously, we all here. We all part of this family. You all will see me often like, hey, family, blah, blah, blah. And I mean it that way. I was talking with C and Doodle when he had me graciously come to their show. And I told C and Doodle behind the scenes, like, I'm not quick to jump to friends. I don't know if you remember that, C. Well, I don't quickly throw out friend. If I call you that, you best believe I believe you are that.
Yeah,
thing.
well, there's a lot of acquaintances in my life. Very few friends.
And a lot of people throw out acquaintances what are really acquaintances. They'll label as friends instead. And I'm not quick to do that. I had to learn that lesson as my grandmother had imparted that wisdom on me. But when I say family like that, you all are my extended gaming family. Mm-hmm. I remember C was like, why we got to be a gaming family? Why can't? But I look at it like, listen, we got our main family. And we got our gaming family. You all are my gaming family. And I say this in the effort of saying we don't always agree, but let's not take it to the degree where we turn against each other because we don't agree. You know what I mean? And if you all feel a way about something we're saying, it is perfectly fine and reasonable.
We can have a conversation.
Say, hey, I don't like that you said this. I disagree with you here. That's fine. You know what I mean? But I don't want us to get to the point again, to the hooved type. I've seen him on Twitter. I've debated with them.
It's gross.
It's terrible. And I got to a point where, Boom, I used to host spaces all the time. Well, not anymore.
You can't even do that because
you can't talk with them regularly because they won't allow for it. You know what I mean? And I don't want us to get to that. You know what I mean? So that's all I would say to that. If you guys are free, please come by on Thursday and give us all the view. Like I said, it'll be myself, Danny, Boom, and Spooky Sprocket. Should be a really good show.
Yeah, I'm gonna throw. I don't know how to pronounce the name, but I'm gonna throw it up on here. It's definitely a new listener. At least I haven't seen him here before. He says, I think it's Sloith. I think that's how you pronounce it. He says, "Hell of a show. Love listening while working. You guys are dope. GG, brother. Thank you. That's very kind of you to say. And of course, if you're finding the channel, brother, please don't hesitate to subscribe because we're on the hunt. We're under 300 away from 14K. We'd love to get there. But let's do the last outro. And obviously, this one is amazing because obviously it's C-Money. He does an amazing job with the misses each and every week. He has a host of amazing podcasts, and he does it in a way that I wish I'd love to see more of it. He does it as a family, folks. And listen, he has a pointed opinion. He's not afraid to wear it on his sleeve, and that's why we love him. C-Money,
neither is
brand, brother. What's that?
Absolutely. Absolutely, yes. Neither is Doodle.
No. Sell your brand, brother.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much for having me, man. I appreciate it. It was a fun one. I do love when we get to kind of get a little debatey. It's always a fun time. So, guys, listen. You guys can follow me on Twitter. C-Money Forever is right on the screen, right by my name there. And then we do have a channel, On Point for Gamers. We do 4 shows a week. Our Monday show is Morning Quest, 9:30 a.m. Eastern time. It's Doodle and myself. Just starting off the week right with gaming. We tackled this whole Destin situation yesterday's show in the morning. So if you want to get what we really feel about everything, go watch that. It was a really good show. And then today is him and a guest day. So we have our guest show 7 p.m. Eastern tonight. And today we got our boy Risk It for the Biscuit. Going to be coming through. Going to be a good time. So definitely stop in and say what's up there. And then this week, though, it's a huge week actually, because we have our end of the month gaming block party podcast where we have a bunch of people coming through the show. It's gonna be dope. It's this Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern time, and we have. I'll get my list real quick. So it's gonna be a big one. So we got Gaz from Game On Daily. We got Post Up coming through. Jay Fonzarelli, John Wolf, K Mega, Hargeet Chini, and Forte. All coming through on the show. It's going to be a huge panel. It's going to be dope. So we're going to end the month with a bang. It's going to be fun. So definitely. Listen.
I will definitely say this. It's one of the best things I think that you and the missus.
I agree. I like that, man.
It is. I've never seen anyone do it. I'm so happy to. Like I said, at some point I'm going to be a part of one of those things. It's just that when you do it, I'm usually out with the missus. Picking her up from work, but at some point when she's off, I'll jump on that specific day. It's brilliant.
Yep.
It is.
Yeah, man. I'm glad. It's gonna be Wednesdays after this month going forward. We switch days from Thursdays to Wednesdays, but at the beginning of the month it was Thursday. We already set it up with everybody for Thursday, so we didn't want to change it. But yeah, it's definitely a fun time. So definitely come through with that. And we do have Anime and Beyond on Fridays, 6 p.m. Eastern time. So definitely come through with that. And one other show that I'm going to start promoting because we're already getting close, about 2 weeks away. Another new show that we have on the channel, the second Wednesday of every single month, we're doing our community blowout channel, which means if you are a community member and you want your voice heard, you come, let us know, you get on our show, and you'll be part of the panel. It's only community members who will be on there. So go check out our Discord if you want to get into that. But that's going to be December 13th, 3 p.m., I think, Eastern time this month. But yeah, definitely look out for it, man. Come follow on the channel. We appreciate you. The sub will be dope, and hit the notifications so you don't miss anything. We have a good time over there, man. We do fun times.
Yeah, you do.
So
You
I
have a lot of
appreciate
fun
that.
over there. Yeah, no, absolutely, brother. And we appreciate you being a part of the show, ladies and gentlemen. That is going to do it. A big thank you to all of the ridiculous super chats that came in. We had another one from Ryu Art, who starts an additional $2 super chat and says, Xbox is our team, and we hate biased apologists, Destin. It's okay. Well, listen, brother, thank you for the additional $2.
On behalf of Destin, I would like to apologize for. Oops.
Well, listen, folks, thank you so much for saying that. And that's crazy because this week alone, I've done only 2 shows and it's almost 6 hours of content so far. So if you are checking out the channel, normally we do 2-hour shows, but it's just that we are in the moment. We had a great conversation. Thank you so much for hanging out. It still had well over 500 people here, even when we went to overtime. And of course, I'm going to close out the show with something that's incredibly important to me, folks. Hopefully, one day it'll be important to you. And that's something that my dad taught us when we were kids. And he would say, Craig, treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, Craig. I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone. And we'll see you next week on the newest episode of the Xbox Factor Podcast.